myself. I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you.
yes. Oh, yes, it is. Welcome, everybody. It's a new year. It's a new year. You might notice it's a bit more colorful around. I decided to kind of, add a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of spice, a little bit of bam to the aesthetics of the channel. There's also a new intro also, if you didn't pay too much attention. Either way, welcome. Let's do this intro really quickly. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever you are watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk politics, current events, and man, I haven't done this intro in so long. I'm so rusty on it. Yeah, on here we cover news, politics, and current events, while I completely forget how to stream since it's been like over a week or whatever. And but yeah, welcome everybody. 2023. It's the first show of the year. Very excited. We got a fun show today, I think. So we're gonna take a look at the failed nomination or I guess election in the House of Representatives of Kevin McCarthy. Then we're gonna kind of shift over a little bit. I want to take a look at over the kind of holiday break, I guess one would say, libs of TikTok's Chaya Raichik decided to go on Tucker Carlson's little online program thing that he does, that where he kind of pushes a lot more dangerous rhetoric and a lot less a lot shadier of rhetoric, I should say. But I guess she showed up on his show and they had a little chit chat, so we're gonna take a look at that. Afterwards, might break it up with something a little bit fun, and then just kind of go through some other news items. Ron DeSantis was sworn in as the for his second term of governor, so that was a thing. We're gonna kind of look at his speech and try to get to everything that's on the docket. But either way, yeah, sit back, grab something to drink. I have some delicious water, and let's just roll right into it, shall we? So I don't know if you've heard, you might have seen in the news, elsewhere, if you're watching, in other places where they talk news, not quite as important as this platform, but you might have heard that the Republicans took the House in the midterms last year in 2022. I know you're saying to me, this was so long ago, how do I even remember this stuff? Well, just comes with time. You just got to commit it to memory. But with the House Republicans now taking the majority, obviously, the majority party elects their speaker, which would, and this has all for the Democrats, has historically in the last quite a while been Nancy Pelosi. And the antithesis, I guess, to her would be also from California, Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader for the Republicans for the last at least all of Trump's term. I'm not 100% sure if he was there before. I'm pretty sure he was, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, either way, Kevin McCarthy now running to be elected as the Speaker of the House. The vote threshold is 218, and you're going to notice when we go over a little bit of this, and I think actually, let me refresh this news article because there's a good chance that this changed. Yes, it did. Can I go back? Oh, I can't. Literally, the headline changed. Okay, well, 3 strikes and not looking good. Definitely not looking good. So let's take a read, shall we? The House adjourned without a speaker on Tuesday for the first time in a century after Kevin McCarthy failed in a third straight vote for the gavel. And in the final ballot, the GOP leader watched his support begin to chip away. Staring down a threadbare majority, McCarthy has been unable to dislodge dug-in opposition from the right flank of his conference, who are now openly pushing for conservative hero Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio to take the gavel. Jim Jordan, kind of a psychopath. GOP lawmakers now hope to resolve their leadership battle privately after several humiliating hours on the floor. McCarthy and his allies have already begun talks with some of the 20 defectors in a desperate attempt to break the detente before the House will resume at noon Wednesday. Yeah, so they kind of just voted to take a break, maybe take a day off to kind of think about it. So they will be back tomorrow at noon. We're going to go have some more conversations tonight and see what's next, Chip Roy of Texas said, one of McCarthy's chief antagonists. He declined to say whether McCarthy's 20 dissenters would be meeting on their own, but said that the talks would include members, quote, across the conference. But by the time lawmakers return at noon on Wednesday, it's not clear if McCarthy would still be the one seeking votes, or another member entirely. Let's see. After 14 years in leadership, McCarthy has now tried and failed 3 times to fulfill his decade-long dream of becoming speaker. And another troubling sign for the GOP leader, he lost the vote of someone who had been supporting him. Representative Byron Donalds of Florida. Well, there's your first fault. Flipped on the 3rd ballot to support Jordan. Jesus, that's gotta hurt. At 2, Byron. So this is also, before we keep going, this is also something that I find really troubling, and I guess it's kind of something that I'm not a fan of, and it's the sense of people having these decade-long goals of being speakers of the House, because this is kind of my thing as a elected representative to the House of Representatives. At the end of the day, you're a public servant, and what I notice from a lot of these lawmakers is this private sector level ambition behind getting some of these positions. I'm not really I'm not saying it's bad to have ambitions as a lawmaker or to want to be Speaker of the House. It just strikes me sometimes as this careerism that I'm not a fan of when it comes to elected office. In the same sense of, you have somebody a very easy example of Joe Biden, right? Why is Joe Biden president? Is Joe Biden a particularly interesting lawmaker? No. Is Biden a ideologically interesting candidate? Not really. Really the only reason, or not the only reason, but for Biden, I don't sense that there's anything Biden wants to do as president, do as that elected representative, besides hold the office. And it's like that. I know I'm using Biden as an example, but and honestly, that's a lot of presidents in our history. It's a lot of leaders in our history. But I've never been comfortable with the kind of careerism that some politicians tend to take up. It's not my favorite thing. It's just not my favorite thing. I don't like the careerism. I'm not a fan of it. It's just something that really bugs me. I don't like hearing people who just want to be speaker because they're it would be really cool, or it would be really whatever, which I always can't help but be okay, that's fine, you want to be Speaker of the House, but what do you want to do as Speaker of the House? I feel the thing that you want to do should be the thing that there should be something more than just, I want to be Speaker of the House. It should be, I want to be Speaker of the House, or any of these positions should be vehicles to drive your either political ideology or some kind of goal to make things better. And I don't really see that from a lot of our elected representatives across the board. But either way, for most, it's also Pelosi. What Pelosi, first woman Speaker of the House, and we got Obamacare passed, which is she did it in basically a fail-proof time frame. But like, you know, okay, what have you actually done? What did Pelosi do as her, you know, tenureship as Speaker of the House besides be a woman in that position? Nothing. Like, nothing of true substance, in my opinion. But for most of Tuesday, McCarthy's allies insisted they would keep voting until a path emerged for him to seize the gavel and attempt to grind down his opponents. What resulted was a game of high-stakes chicken for the second time since the Civil War that a party required multiple attempts to elect a speaker on the House floor. It's always fun. Oh, you can tell these two fucking hate each other. But that sentiment began to shift by the third vote, with many GOP lawmakers seeing no path for McCarthy to win without a major shift in dynamics. And some feared that the California Republican could lose even more support beyond Donald's without some personal intervention. Quote, I think it's going to be increasingly clear that he's not going to be speaker. We will never cave. Bob Good from Virginia, come on, said after conservatives blocked McCarthy from winning the gavel, urging him to drop out. Oh yeah, what was I don't know if I saw the vote. I don't know if they said the vote number in this one. They probably do. Let's see. In a bid to cut off McCarthy opponents at their knees, Jordan gave an impassioned speech nominating the Californian, but that did little to move the detractors. Unlike in the first round of voting, where McCarthy picked up undecided House Freedom Caucus members, including Ben Cline, Clay Higgins, and Representative-elect Mike Collins, who had previously pledged to vote against McCarthy, GOP leader didn't pick up any new support in the second round. How long the speaker's fight will last remains the House's favorite parlor game. McCarthy acknowledged on Tuesday that it, quote, could last for days, while one of his opponents, Ralph Norman, said they could resist for 6 more months. In the meantime, the House GOP risks a chaotic floor fight with no rules of the chamber yet in place. The chamber cannot even swear in its members without a speaker. That's not great. Those 20 opposition votes came despite fierce pressure from McCarthy and his wide band of allies that he has honed over the years, with some members even vowing to punish defectors from removing them from committees. No one in this body has worked harder than this Republican majority. Oh my God, has worked harder for this Republican majority than Kevin McCarthy. Let's see. Elise Stefanik from New York said in a booming floor speech delivered moments before lawmakers began to vote. After brewing for years, the revolt against McCarthy materialized on the floor in front of all 434 members, which the seat of the late Democratic Representative Don McEachin still vacant. On a day of plenty of pomp and circumstance, dozens of lawmakers brought squirming children, including at least one crying infant, as they sat through the full roll call vote. The substantial block of opposition against McCarthy marks an increase from the day prior, when only 5 House Republicans had publicly declared they would vote against their party leader. But storm clouds were brewing over McCarthy throughout Tuesday, just before heading to the floor. House Republicans gathered for a tense and at times raucous, right? It's raucous, pretty sure. Meeting where McCarthy and his top supporters erupted at the dozen-plus conservative hardliners, vowing to block his speaker's bid. In a fiery speech to his conference in the closed-door meeting, McCarthy underscored the extensive concessions he has made to those who have vowed to oppose him, largely those in the House Freedom Caucus, according to multiple members in the room. He also told members that there are about 20 GOP lawmakers who plan to vote against him, far more than the 5 who have publicly opposed him. In a preview of the chaos that he met on the floor. I earned this job, I earned this majority, and goddamn it, we are going to win it today. No, you're not, bud. I'm sorry. You earned shit. Sorry to let you know that. McCarthy said to a standing ovation, according to lawmakers in the room. Let's see. It wasn't just the California Republican calling out the conservative hardliners at the conference meeting. Many of McCarthy's frustrated supporters, too, unloaded on the band of defectors. At one point, Mike Rogers from Alabama and top Republican of the House Armed Service Committee pushed the idea that any Republican who opposed McCarthy should be stripped of committee assignments. Why not? Do it. Do it. You won't. Is Gates still in? I guess he is. Roy, one of McCarthy's chief antagonists, spoke up to defend his position and lashed out against Rogers' remarks after keeping fellow Republicans off committees, shouting profanities at his colleagues. Of course he did. Rogers said after the meeting that his warning that the steering committee will block McCarthy opponents from getting committee assignments wasn't just a threat. I promise it. And McCarthy shot back at Roy's defense of his opposition. You're not voting against me. It's against the conference in the country. Roy wasn't the only... get the fuck out of here. Roy wasn't the only Republican vowing to vote against McCarthy to speak up. Scott Perry of Pennsylvania and Norman both reiterated their stances to the conference. GOP leaders responded, what's left? What do you want? What do you want? Other anti-McCarthy members, including Perry and Reps, and Perry and Lauren Boebert, and Matt Gaetz, publicly railed against McCarthy after the closed-door meeting, arguing that his allies were resorting to political threat. Yes. God damn. Can you... Oh, my God. So, imagine you're a congressperson. You just barely, by the way, won your seat in the federal House of Representatives. And in a meeting where you are antagonizing and causing a stir in your party when it comes to voting in your leader so that you can basically begin session to start legislating, and when they threaten you with material losses to your ability to legislate, you look dead at the camera and go, I cannot believe they are resorting to political threats. Yes, dumbass. All of it is political threats. You are in Washington. You are an elected representative. What the fuck kind of threats do you think you're going to get? It's like me going into the kitchen and like somebody and like me, it's like me going into my kitchen and like one of my coworkers comes up to me and is like, yo, you're actually gonna move stations because I want this station. And I don't like, or like, you know, if I had a problem with whoever was like running the shift at the time, and they were like, you know what, you're gonna go work the station you want to work, or I'm gonna give you a different one that you like even less. And then I came back and was just like, can you believe this culinary threat? Can you believe this? Like what? Like, yeah, you work in fucking DC. You're an elected representative. How dumb do you need to be that you're like, I can't believe that this is a political threat that they are throwing around. Yeah, because you work explicitly in politics. Fuck's sake, like, god damn. I swear, the thing that really gets me is Boebert's from like Colorado, so she hits close to home for me on this one, where it's like, you dumb fuck, god damn, could you represent your like constituents worse? I don't live in her district at all. I live closer to Denver, but like, for fuck's sake, like the people who live in her district, this is why she almost lost her seat. This is why, because that's her brain working at full capacity. It's like, I work in politics and in the government, and you threaten to do anything, political threat. My God, like, fuck's sake, Jesus, how dumb do you need to be? Fucking Christ. Let's see. Political threats instead of making a deal. For sakes. Boebert had just announced her public opposition Tuesday morning, along with Dan Bishop, Republican from North Carolina. Even before the explosive meeting, early signs Tuesday didn't point in McCarthy's favor. Perry offered blistering criticism of McCarthy just before the meeting, saying conservatives had asked for several concessions like committees and commitments on committee seats that in turn would get him to 218 votes, but that the California Republican declined. Yeah, most likely. So I know a big one. I think like one of the big ones to get Marjorie Taylor Greene on board was to let her go on the I believe it's the oversight committee, so that she can get involved with all the all the Hunter Biden investigating that she's gonna want to do. Which, sure. So we'll get into kind of, well, let's see how much more of this. Okay, we kind of get the point. I'm stopping here. We all understand the point. But something that I kind of want to highlight is, like, you kind of got to think about it like this. The House Republicans right now are going to war, right? They are really, really pushing for McCarthy to not what's it called? What is this? I don't remember ever clicking on this. Anyway, they've really been trying to push hard on the culture war nonsense stuff, right? So you have two different wings in the party. I kind of lost my train of thought there. You have two different wings, it seems like, of the party, or at the very least two different opposing sides to this. Most of his opposition is made up of people like Lauren Boebert, like Matt Gaetz. You have a lot of these, a lot more, I think, Trumpy representatives. A lot more, I think they said like hardliners. So you have a lot more of those really like rabid Republican, quite frankly, base representatives. If you ask me who represents the base more between between McCarthy and somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, if we're being perfectly honest, Marjorie Taylor Greene represents the Republican Party base better than probably anyone, I think, in the party right now. If you want to talk about somebody who is, obviously there are your kind of more traditional, or in this case, maybe a better word would be institutionalist Republicans. And those are going to be your McCarthys, that's your McConnells, that's going to be kind of your older, a lot more old style Republican Party guys. And then you have the new ones who they want to do these Hunter Biden investigations. They want to do their, they want to investigate the January 6th committee. They want a committee to investigate a committee. They're playing a lot more into the, I think, the like ground level of Republican Party politics. They're a lot less Machiavellian. They're a lot less subtle. They're a lot less nuanced. They're a lot less just overall. They're not thinking about the funding of the party and all the rest of the stuff. What they are concerned primarily with is with gaining power. And it's something that guys like McConnell, guys like McCarthy used to, I think, understand. And I think they still have a decent understanding of it. But I think it's something that they lack an ability to act on now more than they used to, a lot more than they used to. McConnell has been running the party, at least in the Senate, for quite a long time. I want to say he's like one of the longest sitting representatives. I think I saw a headline about that. So you want to talk about somebody who is inextricably tied to the modern conception of the Republican Party. You're talking about Mitch McConnell. So, when you kind of line up these guys against your Matt Gaetz, against your Marjorie Taylor Greenes, against your Laura Boeberts. Oh my God, excuse me. When you line those guys up against them, you kind of notice the difference in how they go about politics. McConnell has always been about power, but he's always done it in a, I think, a little bit more of a sophisticated way, with, like, making sure as many judges get put in place, kind of subtly eroding our democratic institutions, stuff like that. That's somebody who I think kind of understands how to slowly, like, you just slowly turn the game to your favor over time. And that's not what Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's not what Lauren Boebert, that's not what any of these much newer Republicans, and some of them that I'm sure have been around for a while, but see this opportunity to grab power. Because that's, at the end of the day, what this is about. This is about grabbing power. And that's also, and that should tell you a lot, because McCarthy is making a lot of concessions. He's divvying up whatever he can to get the support of any of the people voting against him, right? He's trying to make every concession he can. But, and here's the thing. At the end of the day, the issue that McCarthy is actually having, and the actual thing that's going on here, is that McCarthy wants to be Speaker of the House because he wants to be Speaker of the House. That's it. If we take a look at the Republican agenda, what is it? Is it anything? Have they talked about literally anything that they want to pass? Not really. What Republicans generally are good at is being the opposition party. If you notice, the only thing they passed when Trump was in power and when they were all in power was, kept noticing that, was tax cuts. Because that's, let's be honest, that's what the party's a vehicle for, is for rich donors to, buy off representatives and, lower their own tax burden. That's essentially what the party has existed for the last, 30 to 40 years. So McCarthy just wants to be Speaker because it'd be cool, right? Meanwhile, couple that with the fact that he doesn't really want to pass anything. It's mostly an ego play and a professionalism play, right? There's nothing that the party is trying to do as the majority in the House. And there's nothing they will be able to do. With the Democrats holding the Senate, it's, we're deadlocked again. But the crazies, this other faction, what are the things that they want to do and the stuff that they want to be, that's what I'm looking for. The things that they want to be discussing as the majority party in the House, and things they want to be investigating, the things that the committees they want to be on. None of this has any bearing on anything. It doesn't mean anything, really. They're seeking power. And it seems like they're going to get it. And again, what do the problem McCarthy has is, what do they have to sacrifice? What's the harm that any of these crazies have in holding up this vote? McCarthy knows they're not going to pass anything. They know they're not going to pass anything. So whether McCarthy is sworn in or not, it doesn't matter. Nothing's passing. Nothing is going to get done. So, and at the end of the day, the only way McCarthy wins in this case is if someone, specifically him, gets voted in, and the government begin and things start to move again. But regardless of whether they do or don't, doesn't matter to the crazies faction. They're happy to watch the country just sit here and not move. So You're playing against, he's playing against people who have nothing to lose. And really, he doesn't have much to lose, except for his ego and his ability to hold power. So, you know, if you ask me, Kevin McCarthy is fucked from this point. Even if I think, you know, even if I think that he was going to be successful in this vote, you know, it's the, what's the old phrase? You come for the king, you better not miss. That's what we're seeing right now. Not only are they not missing, they're also not, there's no way for them to miss. Doing nothing hurts McCarthy. Doing something hurts him more. So, you know, he's got to get a handle on his party. But it's not looking good. Not looking good at all. Oh, I saw this. This just made me laugh. Man, what an L. 3 votes. I think when I checked in, or at least when I scheduled everything out for the show, we were at 2 failed votes. So 3 L's in one day. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Yes. And then, yes. And I saw this. So apparently, oh, that's right. I forgot about this. No, put that back. There we go. So after the 3 votes, obviously there are a few people, you know, C-SPAN or whoever tries to catch representatives after votes and kind of just, you know, kind of wants them to talk, you know, give whatever thoughts that they might have after the vote. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I mentioned a couple times, is an interesting case in this, in the fact that she got her concessions and she has been siding with McConnell since she got those concessions. She has been pretty supportive after the point that she got her investigatory committee assignments. So let's kind of take a look, see her reaction right after the vote here.
All the conservatives that
Hello.
the base supports and believes in. Let me remind everyone, they're not perfect either.
Sorry, I didn't hear
something. While the conservatives that the base supports and believes in, let me remind everyone, they're not perfect either. Scott Perry, before his general election, refused to vote against the bill that was all about the gay marriage bill.
Okay, so already, so Marjorie Taylor Greene obviously does have I'm not going to say she's an ace in the hole, but she is going to be useful for McCarthy going forward, for the simple fact that she is somebody who can, how do I put this? She is somebody who can criticize the Trump wing of the party with a legitimacy that McCarthy simply can't. McCarthy, at the end of the day, is kind of stuck to a degree in terms of, like, how do I put this? He's pretty much stuck in being an elitist Republican douchebag, right? But because Marjorie Taylor Greene is more of a, you know, she's more of the wing. She's more of the opposition wing to McCarthy. She has a lot more ability to kind of criticize this stuff and kind of undermine them a little bit. Obviously, you know, no shocker here. The thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene finds to be an issue is that Scott Perry didn't vote for her anti-gay bill, or didn't vote against the Defense of Marriage Act. So naturally, you know, her bar for being a piece of shit is, you know, rather low. Yes. But either way, you didn't pass the simple bar of being homophobic in Marjorie Taylor Greene's book. So, you know, you are not one to speak out against Kevin McCarthy.
He didn't. He refused to vote against it. He voted for it. Then, when it came back around after his election, he was able to vote against it. Conservatives would not like that. Let me remind everyone this. Matt Gaetz, who has compared Kevin
so much
McCarthy
tea.
to Paul Ryan, my friend Matt Gaetz, he supported Paul Ryan almost more than anyone. It's still on his social media. As a matter of fact, his first vote in Congress was for Paul Ryan as Speaker. And then he...
What is this? What is this? What is this? I'm so... This is the most catty shit ever. Okay.
Cheered him on for nearly a year and a half or more when people like me were at home furious at Paul Ryan's speakership because it wasn't passing the MAGA agenda that we all supported.
I totally forgot that Tim Ryan was actually around during the Trump admin. Holy shit. That's kind of crazy. Tim Ryan was like always just a wet blanket guy. I kind of forgot that like he was even around. Mainly because all those guys, the minute, if you notice, right after passing those tax cuts, a lot of those guys dropped the fuck out. They all dis-a-fucking-peared because they got done what they were supposed to get done. They were put in place to lower taxes for the rich. Once that's it, fucked right off. I'm sure he's working at some private equity fund somewhere, making a ton of money with his golden parachute.
Roy, he refused to object on January 6th. That's not what our base wanted. He also set out the vote for the January 6th committee. There's many more. Bob Good, $2 million from Kevin McCarthy to get elected. Lauren Boebert.
So we also have to keep in mind, my back really itches. We also have to keep in mind that the places in which some of these representatives like where their districts are is also incredibly important. When we talk about really important votes, especially in certain districts, like not everybody's in a safe red district like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is in an uncharacteristically, or at the very least, in terms of how democracy is supposed to work, she's in an uncharacteristically safe district. Same with Lauren Boebert. Now, Lauren Boebert almost took her L that she should have never taken. And that's embarrassing. That's what makes that embarrassing. But no, all of these people, I'm not sure which districts they're all, they all represent, but you can bet that if they waned and waxed on some of those gay marriage votes, on the January 6th votes, they know that they need to play to the middle in their districts a bit. Marjorie Taylor Greene does not have that problem. She does not have a center she has to play to. So keep that in mind.
Under $2 million from Kevin McCarthy to get elected. Many more people have taken Kevin McCarthy's money to get elected, and then there's a few of them that don't want to support him as Speaker.
That is kind of what you're supposed to do.
So imagine that. This is not anything about the country. This is all about Never Kevin. They just don't like Kevin McCarthy, and you cannot be successful
scratch your back in that exact right spot.
if you aren't able to walk in a room, make what you want, and get a deal done, and then walk away with the W and get to work and not worry about who you like and who you don't like. This is not about prom king. This is not about a pastor.
Well, it kind of is, Marjorie. Let's remember when she's all of this. Keep in mind, all of this is for not really passing anything. They don't have an agenda. So keep in mind that all of this is a lot of whining, but also is meaningless. And that's why Kevin McCarthy's going to lose, because there's no material loss to them if he doesn't get voted in. No material loss whatsoever. And at the end of the day, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going as hard as she is because she's been guaranteed power. Keep that in mind also. Gaetz and the rest of them, I guess, I'm assuming, have not reached that point or haven't gotten those promises yet. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the top fundraisers in the Republican Party, already got her concession, and she's now defending her power position as hard as she can, even though that means going against her whole, her squad essentially.
This is about electing a person to sit in the speaker chair so that we can all get to work. And out of 222 Republicans, let me remind everyone.
222, the threshold to win is 218. So keep that in mind.
There's 218 votes to get something passed.
I
That
just
means
said
all
that.
of us are powerful, every single faction in the Republican Party. So there's not going to be a tiny little group that is going to demand their way because they want subcommittee chairs and they want certain power positions.
Sure.
That is not how this works.
That is literally how this works. And it's also literally why she's defending Kevin McCarthy, because she already got her plate.
And that is the worst thing they could do for the country. And I'm furious over it, and I'm going to continue calling them out. We will be fighting this out.
I don't know what this is, but it makes me laugh. Yeah, so McCarthy, big L. Big L. Not that big L, though. Big loss. Big loser, also. You know, we got to be honest here. Big loser. So, just gonna do a little bit of fiddling with this. So yeah, we'll kind of see. The House will go back to voting tomorrow. Honest to God, we'll kind of find out. You know, it's Tuesday now. The next show's on Thursday. You should follow to get notified when the show goes live at 7 o'clock on Thursday. But you know, when we do that show, we'll see if we have a Speaker of the House yet, or if we're still gonna be dealing with a stunted House of Representatives. I've seen a few people also kind of talk about you know, if you're familiar kind of with some of the you know, left space from, what was that, 2 years ago, I think, you know, the force the vote stuff. I've heard a bit about this. Yeah, because essentially the idea would be, you know, the danger a couple years ago that people talked about was that if Nancy Pelosi couldn't get enough votes, that she would then, you know, the speakership could fall to Kevin McCarthy if there were defectors, which technically, as far as I can understand, technically can happen. On a technical level, the minority leader can win the speakership. It's never happened before, but it can happen. Or at least I'm pretty sure it hasn't happened before. Let me be absolutely clear. I'm not 100%, but I'm fairly certain that has not happened before. But yeah, that's not really a normal thing that happens. I don't think, I want to get out ahead and just say this. That's not what's going to happen here. The problem 2 years ago in the Democratic kerfuffle over kind of the same thing, a key problem in that is that there wasn't somebody else running. It was really Pelosi or nobody. So far with Republicans, we have seen that there is growing support for other representatives, which means they could still keep the speakership in their party. There are ample people that will step up to that plate. It seems like Jim Jordan being one of them. So just keep that in mind. I know that's been it's been a, you know, a whole thing. I know that was like a talk like 2 years ago. It was very obnoxious. But anyway, let me take a sip of water. Ah, goodness gracious. Oh yeah. Oh, good God. Okay, so I don't even know how to, you know, sometimes when I really think about kind of the moment we're living in, it makes me lamentful. Mainly because I feel like we have to have the same conversation and the same debate every 20 to 30 years, it feels like. Which I say that because the current moment of antipathy toward the trans community and the LGBT community broadly is not really different than any other social justice movement or civil rights movement that we've seen in the past. You find that, you know, when during Reconstruction and before, during time of legalized slavery, you found that people liked their position in the world. There were those not just at the top, but those in the middle who worked incredibly hard to not just defend their position in society, but actively reinforce that position through the subjugation of others. An element of that is this tricking of the mind, if you will, this rationalization that you tend to see with power groups. It's why during slavery and during Reconstruction, you saw kind of the rise a little bit to eugenics and race sciences. Rihanna income. Oh, why hello. Yes. Not gonna fly. You haven't even heard what I have to say yet. Can I finish? Can I finish? And I'm not comparing the two, let me be clear. I only mean in the sense that this is the dissidence that I find that people kind of create in their minds, and the rationalization to treat other groups as lesser than is an age-old conflict, is an age-old, it's a tale as old as time, if you will. Because there's always people who don't like others for, whatever intrinsic reason. They don't like, how they talk. They don't like how they dress. They don't like, who they are, what they represent, whatever it is. And you find that there's always this need to rationalize the hatred, the subjugation, and the dehumanization of other human beings. If we're being honest about this, and if I'm being honest here, regardless of how you feel about trans identity, trans issues, gay, cis, any of those issues, regardless of all of them, we are all humans. There is less separating us than we would like, than we even know, I think. We're all just people, right? But there's always this need, and it's something that I really don't like to see in people, and it's this need, this desire to build up walls to separate you from other people, to separate yourself, to distinguish, to wall off yourself and to others that are just like you. It's small-minded. And not only is it small-minded, besides being uncreative, it's, as I said earlier, it's old. And that's, before we look at this Tucker and Libs of TikTok clip, I want anybody watching it, I guess also specifically this chatter right here, I want you to really think about this. Outside of the political, your little mental illness jab, I want you to think a little bit harder about that. Because at the end of the day, even if I granted you, I'm strawmanning now. Well, I'll be honest with you. If you would ever, there's a link up there. If you ever want to come on, you can tell me about this straw man. You can come on. and we can have this conversation. I'm open to have it. Really, I am. Rainbow flag activists are doing. Yeah, again, you're not saying anything. You're just saying a bunch of buzzwords. You're like rainbow flag activists. I don't know what that means. People who care, who are activists of what? Carrying flags which have multiple colors on them. Like, you're not saying anything. I'm sorry to inform you. You're just kind of saying the buzzwords that you see on the internet without really an understanding or really a second thought as to what you're actually advocating for and why you're so opposed to this. You came on in here out of nowhere, upset that what? I'm talking about the relative degradation of other human beings. Is that so crazy to think? I don't know who I don't know who's attacking you. I don't know who's I'm assuming you're. We're gonna move on. You can email me. You can call in. We can talk. But I'm gonna move on. But my point being, my overall point being, is that this is old, and it's a conversation that I think we're always going to have, but it's a conversation that I hope one day that we as like a species can kind of get past. You know, it's something I'm really, I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime, sadly, but I would be appreciative if, you know, we kind of got away from trying to constantly differentiate ourselves and wall off other people because we're insecure, usually about ourselves. But either way, let's get into it. What is your thing anyway? I don't even... Murder, torture. And this is also, because this is most likely going to end up, I might cut it out in the YouTube clip. This chatter, let's also realize, I don't know if they're still here. They are or they aren't. But this chatter, what are they? We're not all the same. We are. I'm sorry. This is what I mean. What is transgressive about this? What's controversial about that? What are you like? I'm genuinely curious. Like, what are you like? What is it? We can't be the same. We can't be the same. What's the deal? So I don't know. I don't get it. I hope we as a species can get past this.
Right now, why are you doing that, and why haven't you before?
So,
yes, yeah. Chaya Raychick, obviously, I think this is the first time we've actually seen what she looks like. Which she looks like the most basic Becky I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, this is, I guess, the person who runs a hate channel. That's nice. It's the banality of evil, really. We're not. It's a basic. Yeah, it's a basic fact. Basic facts. Stop animal murder torture. That's what your name is, right? Let me pull it up really quickly. Yeah. Can I ask, what are you upset about? Like, what about the idea that you and a trans man are essentially the same? Why is that so damaging to you? What about that seems to really rustle your jimmies? I'm curious.
The reality is that I think most Twitter accounts are anonymous to start with, unless you're a public official or a figure.
Unless you have the verification.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah,
Elon changed that. But until Elon changed that,
True.
Most Twitter accounts start off anonymous, as did mine. And then when my account started growing, I realized the hatred that the left has. And
so I find it really, really rich that this woman wants to start her volley off about wanting to remain anonymous online and, you know, trying to stay out of the online vitriol, which I am sure she gets. I have no doubt that she gets a lot of vitriol. She gets a lot of pushback, and she probably gets quite a bit of antipathy thrown her way. But coming from somebody whose account, whose purpose on the platform that she's created is to sick random internet individuals, and hoping that some of them are localized, on teachers, on librarians, on school bus drivers, on normal, average, not public figures. I find it rich that she still somehow tries to do this. Oh, I just wanted to stay anonymous to stay out of like kind of the mud of the internet. It's like, well, you kind of brought the mud. You kind of, you were of the mud. I'm sorry to inform you. You're not just engaging with it. You are an active driver of the kind of hate, vitriol, and violence that you say you want to avoid. Like, that's the weirdest thing to me. That's like, how this woman says that with a straight face is impressive. I'll give her that.
Their violent nature, and I was like, I'm going to remain anonymous.
Yes.
As my account was growing and getting more that the left has, and their violent nature, and I was like,
yes, the violent left, the incredibly violent left, the left that aren't gun enthusiasts, the left who also, whenever people say the violent left, I can't take you seriously. There's like, please spare me.
Like, I'm going to remain anonymous.
Yes.
As my account was growing and getting more effective. And I have remained anonymous until
Don't let
now.
this girl see 4chan.
Well, until I was doxxed. My name was shared. My location was shared. My photo was never shared, though I've never done any in-person events. And I'm choosing to do that now because I feel like over the past few months, I've done so much. I've helped educate people. I know that I've helped create legislation to tackle some of these issues. And I think I've done all I can. And
as somebody who also, I would also say, made enough of an impact, like, that, at least in my opinion, she is a public figure at this point. Whether she likes that or not, or whether she thinks that she, what's the word, fits that bill as a public person, you've affected legislation and you've gotten feedback specifically from people, from legislators when crafting legislation. Yeah, you're not just a public figure at that point. You are an incredibly influential person, somebody with an outsized influence over the lives of others. So yes, I don't really, the doxing stuff of her, I don't want to say necessarily that I think that there's a threshold for when doxing is appropriate, because I do think people do have a right to a certain amount of their privacy. But there is something to be said about the way in which you interact with public spaces and how much your identity should continue to be anonymized. There is that aspect to it. What she does is incredibly dangerous, and what she does is, again, affects a lot of people. So it's, it's kind of it's also kind of a, let's be honest, it's a cry me a river thing. Like, come on now, lady. You've created all this harm, and now you're complaining that people revealed your name. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. Like, I think she was complaining that she lost like work because she was like in real estate or something. It's like, oh well, people who don't want to work with you don't want to work with you because they know who you really are. I don't really think, I certainly don't feel bad for that.
The next step, I get people asking me. I have mom groups asking me all the time, can you come help us? I get invitations, to help people understand how to.
Notice this person. Not this one. The one all the way over there in the chat. Not very interested in answering what bothers them so much about that. Sometimes, man. Sometimes I just don't get it. I don't get it, man. Like, how you see another person and you're that upset. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
To expose the left and how to fight it, and being anonymous was sort of keeping me like I was restrained from doing all those things, and I'm ready to do that. I think that I'll be a lot more effective when I'm not so anonymous anymore.
Well, yes.
And I'm excited. I already have a couple of speaking engagements planned for the next few months.
Good.
And hopefully there will be more, but I want to do all I can.
Love stochastic terror speeches. Yeah, I don't really think she's wrong in this fact. The fact that she is let's be honest here. The fact that she is a conventionally attractive, white woman without a, Southern drawl or some nonsense. And she honestly, if you threw me a picture of Chaya Raichik, I'd be like, that's probably a liberal. The fact that this is the avatar of like libs of TikTok, absolutely perfect for the right wing. It's perfect because it really undermines the clear and present danger that they pose to the communities that they've been working very hard to demonize, when this person is the leader of that movement. Because to a normal person, they might see this lady and go, oh, she looks like my niece. She looks like my cousin. She looks like whoever. Can this person be the person running this fucking demonic account? I mean, I don't know, maybe. But that's, it's the banality sort of thing.
And help people to fight this agenda.
And I'm glad that you are. I think it's an act of bravery. And you've had a remarkable effect. And I just want to say, and I'll say this another 10 times because I think it's the most interesting part about you. You haven't really editorialized very much. What you've done, essentially, is bring to further light, to publicize what they're already saying in public. That's your crime.
Wait, does Tucker Carlson know what editorializing means? All she does is, like, she's already done, like, very, what's the word? Manipulative editing on her posts. Like, she does manipulatively edit. And also, any of her, like, posts also are incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? Leading. Like, most of them, they set you up with the expectation of, like, this person is, like, essentially raping kids, and then shows you something totally normal, and then they just keep reinforcing this is grooming, this is grooming, this is grooming, this is grooming, this is grooming. Your teacher said hi, this is to your kid, this is grooming, this is grooming. Oh, your teacher said that your child is very important to them, and in the class setting. Oh, this is grooming, this is grooming, this is grooming. Like, they just sensationalize all of it. Specifically, her account actively makes a point of mischaracterizing and embellishing, or at the very least misinterpreting in an utterly extreme rate, the language, the rhetoric, the meaning behind any of the videos that get sent into her. And most of them again, we're talking, I think I might have watched one earlier, and it was literally just a teacher who offered their, like, love and support to students who were maybe gay or, weren't sure or whatever. But if they had parents, he expressed to them that if they have parents who aren't as accepting of them, that, they are loved and da-da-da-da-da, which, yeah, that's, like, what you want in teachers. Teachers, especially for kids, are incredibly important, especially as they're leaving the home and beginning to socialize outside the home. If you have kids whose parents are fundamentalists, let's just cut to the chase here, or are extreme traditionalists, or any of these extreme conservative types, there are kids going to school who, they school might be their one refuge from an abusive household, not just physically, but even mentally, possibly. So we're talking about like not just a resource from like a material standpoint, but from a societal resource, an ability for some of these kids to feel like they belong somewhere. And teachers are incredibly important for that. You know, having a good teacher can mean a lot. I had good teachers growing up. I enjoyed going to school on the days, like, I hated going in on, like, you know, certain days because I had to go to certain classes where I didn't like my teachers as much. I didn't get along with my teachers as much. And I had to wake up super early to go to school, to get on a bus and do all that shit. I hated going to first period on like Tuesdays, but I loved going to first period on Mondays because one of my favorite teachers I always had on Mondays. So it's like, and like, you know, they were just a cool history teacher. They just taught in a way that was good for me. They spoke and they treated like his students with a lot of respect and a lot of equality in terms of, he didn't talk down to us or anything. Treated us all very, very well. Like, that's really important for people to get to learn. Like people with good teachers learn better. Like in like any kind of class, whether it's math, you know, whatever it is, when you have a good teacher. But also teachers offer that other kind of not parental, but authority figure as well. That guiding authority figure of how to kind of operate in the world. You know, and at the end of the day, like, they are youth that need those people more than others. In this case, LGBT kids, especially in the South, especially in households that aren't accepting of them. That's a resource they need. And, you know, something like the Don't Say Gay bill, a big issue with that bill is that if a teacher has that kind of conversation about the maybe mental abuse that they're victim to, or if the kid opens up to them or whatever, if a teacher doesn't share that information with the abusing parents, mind you, the teacher gets in trouble, can get sued, the school board, all this stuff. So, I mean, you know, when we talk about the targeting of the LGBT community, it's not you pass the bill and it's like no kissing dudes, no fraternizing with the same sex. That's not how those laws work. What they do is punish the people who offer resources that help those youths specifically to adjust and feel comfortable in society, because the goal is to make those queer kids feel as uncomfortable as possible, to the point that they either reverse their sexuality, which isn't going to happen, or they commit suicide. That's how this ends most of the time. Those are the two options. And Tucker Carlson and Chaya Raichik are two people who have been actively pushing, supporting, and motivating more and more people to make it less and less comfortable for these kids to just exist. So when we talk about, you know, and these are the people who claim to be pro-life, they claim to love kids, they claim to care about life, they claim to do all this Jesus bullshit. When it comes down to it, they're causing more deaths. They're the ones who are actively pushing for a hostile society, which will lead in a higher suicide rate. That's the legacy that Chaya Raichik is going to leave behind. Meanwhile, she complains about her online anonymity.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want it to be shown, though, to certain audiences. They want their content out there, but they don't want us to see it. So it doesn't.
I don't care if you
really
see it.
up.
I don't want you spreading it to crazies and actively calling people groomers, to the point in which people get threatened at their schools or homes. That's what I do not like. I also don't like you deceptively editing or picking out people and, again, claiming that they're groomers. Like, it's like she tries to do this game where she's like, well, I'm not like going and asking these people, I'm just reposting what they post. But what you're reposting, what you're reframing, is people going about their average lives, and you're reframing it as like this sinister, evil, like rapey kids thing, which is people going about their lives. That's the danger of this, because at the end of the day, whether you're a teacher saying, I love my students, she will take a video. She would, like, her entire format is all about taking a video where a teacher says, I love my students, and then reposting it with the caption, like, you know, these woke, these woke groomers won't stop telling us what they want to do with our kids, and then sends it to her millions of followers. And then what do you know? You know, most of her followers probably see something like that and they go, that seems kind of benign, but a bit sussy. And some of them, and this is the key part, some of them might show up to a school board meeting. Some of them might show up to the school with a gun, or at the very least with the open disposition as somebody who carries or owns firearms. So again, this is all she's doing, is reframing people being decent and painting it as being sinister. It's fucking gross.
Right.
You haven't violated anyone's privacy. You're posting what they put on TikTok.
They're allowed to post it, but we're just not letting notice. The crime is noticing what they're doing.
Yes, that's always the crime.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So I think you've done an amazing thing.
Does
and
that make
unlike
sense?
so many other people in journalism, and I'm gonna, whether you like it or not, describe you as being in journalism, because I think you are. In the
I think I am
truest sense.
too.
It's not, how could you possibly, okay.
You've had
The idea of Tucker Carlson having any idea what journalism actually is, obviously we don't need to talk about that.
effect, a real effect, by bringing this to light. How did you wind up, I mean, to the extent you're comfortable sharing it, like, how did you wind up doing this? I assume you went to Columbia Journalism School to become a journalist?
I went to Harvard and Yale. Thank God I didn't know, because those are now obviously, those institutions are all poisoned.
Yes, yeah. The anti-intellectualism. Imagine your niece or nephew gets into Harvard and like your sister goes like, well, you know, I would have preferred he just gone to a like trade school because those places have been poisoned. You would think that person is a psychopath. The results of people who go to Harvard, Princeton, any of Columbia, any of these colleges, the result coming out of that and their ceiling for success is so much higher than anybody like me who just went to community college for a stretch of time. Like, aside, and like, again, this is, at the end of the day, the like people who go to college, who get a tertiary education, which I think all people have a right to. And at this point in our society, it is almost a necessity to like basically function or compete in the job market. But like the people who go to these places, who have their views challenged, who have their upbringing, their biases challenged by a college environment, tend to be more left wing. And to them, they think that it's, you know, oh, it's woke teachers just making people woke. No. At the end of the day, college is a place where conservatism, from on a familial level, I should say, from like a, you know, what you're brought up, the small town you might have been brought up in, will get challenged and you will be introduced to new ideas, which their brand of conservatism cannot withstand. Because the entire, what's the word? The crux, the basis for their kind of conservatism is all about never challenging your views, never growing, and simply slotting in to the trade that your town needs, or slotting in to the retail position that your little town needs. Like, at the end of the day, this is small mind shit right here. To just do the, oh, well, you know, people who come out of college tend to be more progressive and more left-leaning, so obviously college is trash. Like, no, maybe get a fucking education. Maybe learn something more than how to scour TikTok and other social media accounts. And then, you know, come talk to me about, like, kind of how you've grown as a person.
But so it started really during COVID. I was noticing all of this content that was being published on TikTok, and I was just like, this is crazy.
Wait,
like,
but at this point, you're not in a related field, like you weren't.
No.
You're not doing anything related to public policy or journalism.
Nothing related to politics, journalism, no.
And she's doing like real estate shit from what I understand.
Nothing.
Very political?
No.
Really?
I was not, yeah.
Because COVID was like the other day. This was just a couple years ago.
Yeah, this was 2 years ago. Well, my account started 2 years ago, yeah.
That's just incredible that you can have this effect this quickly. So you're not a super
disturbing.
political person. You're not watching people's speeches on C-SPAN.
No.
No, you're just a normal person stuck inside.
Exactly. And then COVID happened. And
So imagine that. A normal person stuck inside. How many, you know, what's the kind of running understanding of how much mental damage was done to Americans during lockdown? You know, how much mental illness was exacerbated by the lockdowns, along with, you know, the isolation that one feels. It's a wonder that somebody like this, who, you know, according to her, I'll take her word for this one, isn't very political, is probably just somebody who's like, yeah, the news is on, I don't really pay much attention to it. But like, to go from not being all that political all the way to, again, creating a hate account where you actively are labeling average benign people as groomers and basically potential rapists. You know, this chatter over here mentioned mental illness. I'm not sure if that's what Chaya Raichik is suffering from. Some kind of like, you know, some kind of like brain softening illness or something. But it's a wonder that when a lot of people felt like they went crazy in lockdown, this bitch goes crazy and turns into a stochastic terrorist. It's kind of wild, you know. Maybe we haven't looked at the effects of the lockdowns well enough, because clearly it had a great deal of an effect on this woman's life.
And I think that COVID, for me, and I think for a lot of people, it really woke people up. And it was like an awakening. Either you can stay like sleeping, you know, not really interested in what's going on in our government, or you can choose to get involved. And I think COVID really drew a lot of people in just because of all of the insanity that was going on and that was being imposed on us. Our rights were being violated.
Right, the right to go out and spread disease. That's the right she's speaking of, obviously.
I was like, and that was really a turning point for me.
So she also mentioned awakening, which I can't help but ask, is she a QAnoner? Because this is kind of, Libs of TikTok is also kind of QAnon-y, isn't it? Like, it's a bit sussy, yeah? Like, I'm not, yeah, it just can't help but be like, I don't know about that. I'm getting a QAnon vibe from this.
To get involved and to be interested. And then COVID also is when TikTok started becoming big, because everyone was stuck at home looking for entertainment. And then they stumbled on TikTok, and we started seeing all those videos of nurses, you know, dancing in hospitals during the pandemic. And I was like, you know, TikTok was getting really big, and I was like, oh, you know, let me see what this TikTok thing is all about. And then I stumbled upon this whole platform with all of the stuff. You know, everyone, I'm sure, has seen some of the videos. It's just, there's so much more. And I was like, I need to disseminate this. Like it's just so bizarre and dangerous. And I was like, I just need as many people to see this as possible. And
in large part, not exclusively, but there was a lot of adults bragging about sexualizing children.
Yes, a lot. Specifically teachers. There are also just parents, activists, doctors. That is the most scary part about it, and that's what my account focuses on a lot now.
Gosh, what an interesting.
Oh my God, Tulsi, go the fuck away. I want to kind of hone in on the last little bit of this.
TikTok, and we started seeing all those videos of nurses, you know, dancing in hospitals during the pandemic. And I was like, you know, TikTok was getting really big, and I was like, oh, you know, let me see what this TikTok thing is all about. And then I stumbled upon this whole platform with all of the stuff. You know, everyone I'm sure has seen some of the videos. It's just, there's so much more. And I was like, I need to disseminate this. Like it's just so bizarre and dangerous.
So the thing that she's also saying is bizarre, again, is gays existing near children. That's the thing that she thinks is bizarre. Like oh, this is a lovely still frame. But yeah, that's the thing that she's really like, this is bizarre. This is so weird. Like, is it? Is it weird?
And I was like, I just need as many people to see this as possible.
And in large part, not exclusively, but there was a lot of adults bragging about sexualizing children.
Yes.
That's the thing that perked up in my head while I was looking at checking something. Yeah, the the definition, not only just the definition, but the term sexualizing children has also been completely and utterly devalued at this point. Because, which also, by the way, isn't actually good if you want to like combat child sexual assault. But what a part of this goal has clearly been to lower the floor, or lower the ceiling, I should say, to as low as you can possibly have it, to be sexualizing children. Like, if you're wearing too short of shorts around children, you're sexualizing children. If you're wearing makeup and you're a man, you're sexualizing children. Even though if you're wearing makeup and you're a woman and you're around children, you're not sexualizing children. Now, granted, these goalposts move whenever they need them to move, they move. But the point being is that the right, and specifically this woman and Tucker Carlson, have done a good job at essentially making the term sexualizing children to be meaningless. It doesn't mean anything now. And now we have one less term to refer to when we want to identify child sexual abuse, because now it's turned into something that, you know, we have to actually parse the definition of. If you asked 3 years ago, before Libs of TikTok, if you had asked people what grooming is, they would have given you two answers. One, they would have said, oh, that's the thing that I take my dog and or cat to because I don't feel like giving them baths. That's the first one. The second answer they'll most likely give you is somebody who is preparing children for child sexual assault, right? That's kind of the other definition that, you know, that most people would understand. But we now must contend with the fact that that if you say groomer, now people aren't sure, or at the very least now we have to have an entire conversation and have to have an entire understanding of what the fuck you're talking about, because she's turned groomer into, hey, are you adjacent to children and acting in any non-heteronormative fashion? That's grooming. Which, if you're familiar with kind of the way sexual predators kind of tend to go about their internet activity and kind of how they move through the internet and through their circles, is, at least, you know, I think a good example is kind of I've seen it, I've heard it through another streamer for the what's the term, the lolly community. That's what it is. So the lolly community I was working very hard to convince people that a character in Cyberpunk Edgerunners, which I haven't seen all of yet, it's so far pretty good, but in that show, that a character was a lolly. Now, what a lolly is a character who's kind of more drawn like an adult and sexualized, but they are actually a child. So I'm trying to think, what's Homegirl from is Homegirl from One Punch Man? I actually don't know. I'm not super familiar with like the lines being drawn. But the point is what you're the lolly community tends to kind of be people who are a little bit into like child stuff. It's complicated. It's a bit weird. But my point being in that as kind of pushing political rhetoric and trying to move the Overton window on something like lolly shit, you would want to kind of equalize something that a lot of people like, and apparently a lot of people relate the character. I don't actually know which character it is. I don't remember off the top of my head, at least. But what the idea behind it was like, kind of, if they can massage everybody into thinking that, oh, I really like this character, or I find this character attractive, or whatever it might be, as how people are. But like, as people might do that, they might, and then you introduce them to like, hey, whoa, did you know that would be considered a lolly character? So don't you think maybe it's not so bad? And you kind of massage your way into kind of getting a pass on certain stuff. And that's what child sexual predators also, from a like political standpoint, want to do. There's like an organization, it's like, oh, I don't remember what it's called, but like the normalization of like kind of like youth, like men and youth getting together in that kind of way was attempted to be normal. It has always been kind of attempted to be normalized by certain groups. And you do that through kind of equalizing your language. So when you say groomer, you kind of turn groomer into this catch-all term, and now you can't just say groomer and mean the thing you're meaning to say. I realize I've done a poor job of explaining this, but my point is that you level the playing field to the point that you can't tell the difference between a honestly queer person and somebody who wants to predate on children, or is that the term? Child sexual predator. That's the whole idea, is that you equalize it to, like, if anything, Chaya Raichik is doing a favor to sexual predators at the end of the day, because she is equalizing their identity with simply being queer, which has nothing to do with children. So it, again, went on a bit of a tangent there, but it's just fucking stupid. Like, and not only stupid, it's unhelpful. It's unhelpful, and it doesn't do the thing that she purports to care about, which is protect kids. It puts kids in more danger. When you equalize the stuff, you make it harder to discern who's doing the bad thing and who's not.
A lot, specifically teachers. There are also just parents, activists, doctors. That is the most scary part about it. And imagine you being accepting. Imagine you're living in like Portland, Oregon. I'm just going to pick a town. You're living a very left town. You're living in Portland, Oregon. You're very supportive of your gay son. And all of a sudden, your face, your child's face, the area in which you live in has now been broadcasted to millions of people who hate your child's identity and also think that you are going to rape your child. Like, you want to talk about like a genuinely like despicable person? This lady, because that's what she is doing. When she says parents specifically, that's what's happening. Now, that's happening to teachers and all the rest of the people that she mentioned. But imagine that's your kid, and suddenly people are coming to you being like, oh, you're grooming your child. You're like, what the fuck? I don't even know who you fucking people are. So it's just, fuck Christ. That's what my account focuses on a lot now.
That's nice.
Gosh,
that's really nice. Gosh, what an interesting conversation. Like I said, I kind of said it earlier a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm tired, because I don't really think that's fair for me to be like, I'm tired, but like, like I said, I really wish we got to a point where we didn't have to do this whole song and dance constantly. I do think it's disappointing. It's disappointing to me that, you know, at the end of the day, she's making, you know, she's probably making a good amount of money off of this. You know, she probably doesn't do whatever her real estate job is anymore. You know, she's not really much different than somebody like me. I started doing this show a couple months ago. I do really like you know, I like coming on here. I enjoy talking with people, even when some of them unfortunately end up being cowards and don't want to engage once I ask them a hard question about themselves. But that's okay. That happens. But you know, I do this because, you know, there's a certain sense of independence and security that I feel doing this. You know, nobody can fire me for doing that, for coming on here. You know, I already have the mic, I already have the camera, and everything else. You know, there's a certain safety in that, and there's a certain ownership that I take over this, that I enjoy. But also, this is a vehicle, in my opinion, for me to hopefully change some minds, hopefully have some positive conversations, but also to create positive outcomes and to do what I think, or at least forward a vision of the world that I think would make more people happy. And unfortunately, somebody like Chaya Raichik is somebody who has watched society slip away from her values, not realizing that Chaya Raichik is like every other person in history, in that the values of the society that she is living in has always been moving past her. Her moment has always moved on. And her entire channel, her entire Twitter account, her entire online existence is essentially her attempting to claw back the last vestige of influence and dominance over the society she lives in, over the culture that she thinks she has a right to dictate. That is why she targets normal people. That is why she targets small individuals. It's why her account is based on antagonism. Chaya Raichik did not start her account because she wanted to bring positivity, because she wanted to have conversations, because she wanted to do anything that anybody would call productive. Chaya Raichik created her channel because she is small, hateful, and recognizes that she is running out of time to hold power. And it's sad. It's sad watching somebody like that. It's sad watching thousands, millions of people. Hello, Cord. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate you. It's sad to see so many people buy in to that kind of mindset, because it's not going to get them anywhere. Joe Schmo, who's a fucking plumber, who, you know, doesn't get trans people, he's going to watch her TikToks. He's going to watch her Twitter feed. He's going to watch those videos. He's going to go like, I can't believe this. This is so wrong. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to go to work. He's going to get up in the morning. He's going to go to his truck. He's going to go to his work site. He's going to fit plumbing shit. I don't know anything about plumbing. I just picked plumber. But he's going to do all of that, right? And while he does that, he is not going to be able to shake the idea that somehow the world around him is falling. Thinking, can you believe these blue-haired liberals and these gays who teach our kids and all the rest of this stuff? Meanwhile, not just his wages, his commissions have gone down. The house that he bought 5 years ago just got more expensive because they just built a few luxury condos down, like, less than a mile from him. The people in his neighborhood, his neighbors that he's known for 10 years maybe, they've now moved out because they can't afford to live there anymore. His wife is probably working a job most of the time. He doesn't really see her that often because one income isn't enough to run a household. His life is not going to get any better engaging with any of this stuff and reinforcing it and having it reinforced in his mind. It's just not. And, I don't know. It's disappointing. I want more for people. I don't like that we're stuck on this type of bullshit because there are people who live every day struggling, barely able to keep the roof over their heads, keep their health in order, and they're being fed junk food in terms of their news. They're being fed junk food in terms of their frame of culture, their frame of society. And we wonder why people are so dissatisfied these days. We wonder why people are they alienate themselves. They isolate themselves. They don't recognize society. But when would they? Again, they got jobs to go to. They got 9 to 5s they have to work. They're working 5-6 days a week just to keep the lights on, just to keep the roof over their head. I don't want to say I have a lot of sympathy for transphobes, because I don't. But from a societal level, I'm lamentful that we're still having these issues. We're still constantly fighting about the amount of melanin in people's skin, who they like to marry, who they love, what they identify, what they would like to be referred to in public. And I've heard people say, sometimes it's, when you're powerless, what else do you have but power over the even more powerless around you? It's just, and Tucker Carlson, Chaya Raichik, these people, they've seized on it. They've made a lot of money. They've made an immense amount of money on, didn't mean to do that. That was not the transition I wanted. They've made an immense amount of money on keeping these people anxiety ridden from this type of shit, instead of allowing them the space to go out and meet somebody who might be gay. Go meet a trans person. You'll find trans people, and again, the lovely chatter who did a whole bunch of reeing earlier, the thing that bothers them is the idea that they might be the same as you. That the trans person that you think is a little weird or whatever, it's no more different than you are. But Tucker Carlson makes money off of making you think that they're different, specifically lesser than. I don't know. Let's talk about socioeconomic state of the world. Exactly. Aaron Dam. Exactly. At the end of the day, a lot of, there's been a lot of men discourse over the last couple of days on the left. And, to briefly weigh in on it, overall, we need to address, I think the way we address this is by explaining the pitfalls, the hypocrisies of capitalism. That's, if you're asking me, how do we address male loneliness? How do we address the male suicide rate? How do we kind of address and talk about this problem without the trappings of men's rights activism and all the rest of that kind of blibbity blabbity nonsense? We talk about economics. We talk about the systems in which men have to exist in, which all of us do. But capitalism has done a wonderful job at not just alienating everybody, but also pitting everybody and training everybody, in my opinion, to compete over everything. You know, as a young high school male, I remember the feeling of scarcity that I remember that feeling of scarcity in terms of who was possible to date, in terms of who was attainable as a possible relationship partner. And that's kind of how I feel like we've trained our society in a lot of ways, with this not just artificial scarcity, but with a kind of social scarcity and these social expectations that we put on a lot of people, and a lot of men specifically. This year, I really, really want to, a goal of mine is to talk to a few people with kind of this frame of mind, who are going through kind of that loneliness, and who, I got to figure out how to speak to some of those people, but how to get them on. But I really want to talk to some of these folks and kind of hear what they have to say, because I know what I went through in high school, but I'm really curious what these kids are kind of going through these days with the with everything that's going on. It's got to be a sometimes difficult existence, I can imagine. But either way, Aaron Dam has it right. The socioeconomic state of the world is incredibly important, and also from a macro perspective, incredibly important, but also from a micro perspective, and kind of socializing everybody, I think, a little bit better together would be really positive, would really help in this case. You only fear a neighbor you don't know. And if you stay isolated, like some of these people are, and you don't go to college because you're told it's been poisoned and stuff like that, you never give other people a chance. And, you kind of just end up as a wall of a person without any ability to just absorb the idea that, there are different people. Anyway, long spiel over. Okay, so take my sip of water. Okay, so mentioned the socioeconomics for a little bit, so I want to kind of focus in really quickly on the just plain economics for a moment. We're gonna kind of take a break from the from a little bit of this stuff, and I think we'll save. I know we're gonna do like 2 of these, and then we'll save the intercept. So Thursday, I'm thinking we'll kind of look over DeSantis' second term speech. I think that will be at least mildly interesting. DeSantis, another guy who is who is at the head of the anti-LGBT movement in America. But I think, we've talked a lot. we've done a little bit of a talk about that. So we're going to give that a break. And for now, and also there's a George Maloney story I kind of want to read. Because, is it George Maloney? Yes, in Italy. But for now, We're gonna do some Bernie. We're gonna do some Bernie, and then go take a look at my cousin. So, into geopolitics stuff. I'm getting there. I'm not the best at geopolitics, just because, admittedly, as somebody who's been working a 9 to 5 since I was like 18 or whatever, I only really can absorb as much as I can, in between shifts. But I'm making an attempt. I want to learn more. I want to get more. I want to get better at geopolitics. My geopolitics is probably my weakest. What's it called? Is there an videos? Ooh, that'd be great. You would also there's Skeptical Wolf, who also comes in here. He's also a big South American nerd, so, which is always interesting. But yeah, absolutely. I just want to get, I want to get better, but it's always one of those things where it's like, there's a lot you have to learn. Unlike America, that's only been around for a couple hundred years. Like, some of these European nations have been around for like thousands, or yeah, that sounds right to me. So there's just a lot to kind of go over, but yeah, videos are always helpful. I'm not the best reader, as you'll find out as I probably mess up or stumble over words in this article. Anyway, not business as usual. So with the new year coming up, let's see. World outside America is getting heated for sure. Oh, absolutely. Sanders' well-chronicled antagonism toward lobbyists has some concern they'll be unable to blunt criticism of their clients' profits and corporate executive salaries. Oh boy, will you. Just want to say up front, love you, Bernie. You are my forever uncle. Okay. Health, care, lobbyists representing insurers, drug makers, and a range of powerful industry interests are steeling themselves for a Senate chair immune to their usual charms. The Vermont Independent is set to take over the Senate's Health, Education, and Labor and Pensions Committee next month. Oh, yes. Leading the panel gives the Medicare for All proponent oversight authority over some of his policy priorities: drug pricing, workers' rights, and income inequality, and student and medical debt. Okay, so I just want to say, I know Bernie lost the midterm. It makes me sad every time I say it out loud. But if you were going to ask me how I would like him to be utilized, if he's not going to be like, at the top of the, hierarchy in the country, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, this is what I want him doing. Like, absolutely, this is what I want him doing. But Sanders' well-chronicled antagonism towards lobbyists has some concern they'll be unable to blunt criticism of their clients' profits or corporate executive salaries. They are anxious Sanders might seek to revive policies like importing drugs from Canada and other nations, an idea loathed by drug makers. So remember, it's good to keep in mind, drugs generally are a lot of these patents are given out to these companies for these drugs so that they can turn a profit on them. But that really only counts in the US. And when we talk about global patents, it's a whole different game. So, you can go to Canada and buy drugs there. And you've probably heard this if you've seen a few documentaries. Drugs are quite a bit cheaper around the world, mainly because their governments, especially countries with socialized healthcare systems, negotiate their drug prices using the entire country's market against a insurer or corporation or drug maker or whatever it is. So because if you're what's the guys that make like the EpiPen for whoever makes the EpiPen, I don't remember the name, I don't remember which company, fuck them either way. But if you make the EpiPen as a good example, and in the US, Medicare can't negotiate with you, which is the largest insurer in the country, or at least one of the largest. If you're on Medicare, it's most of our seniors, right? So, between, if you're in if you're doing business in the U.S. and you're selling, and you're the maker of EpiPens or whatever, you have to contend with pretty much you get to kind of set your own prices, because each market's going to set their prices, but you already control the monopoly of EpiPens. So whatever price, like at the end of the day, a population is going to pay whatever they have to pay to buy an EpiPen. Like, people need those to survive, you know? So it's kind of like, you know, you can set your own price, because what are they going to say? Oh, we'll go buy it elsewhere. Oh, we're not actually allowed, you know, if you're not allowed to do that, then you can't buy at these competitive prices. These, these drug makers have no competition and nobody leveraging the populations. Whereas in, like, you know, in Europe and in other socialized systems, you can leverage your entire country's population to say, to basically force a company to go, we're going to buy these off of you at like a 90% like cut to what you're charging, or, you know, whatever it is. Because if you want to do any business in the entire country of, like, Canada, for example, you've got to play ball. And that's how you kind of leverage your population in that kind of system. We don't have that here, unfortunately. We have insurance, which, it's really complicated. I feel like I'd have to spend a lot of time on it. Brennan lost midterm election? Yes, he did. He lost the presidential midterms back in 2020. Not anything recent. Yes, he's in the Senate. Yeah, he's still in the Senate. He only lost his midterm in the sense of the presidential back in 2020, and I guess in 2016. God, that hurts to say. But yeah. Let's see. Lobbyists also worried that they'll struggle to get traction on any push to make changes to a drug discount program involving pharmaceutical companies and hospitals, or revisit association health plans after a Trump-era rule around them was avoided. This will not be business as usual for K Street. It will be harder for companies. Oh, wait. Darn. This isn't Bernie talking. Let's see, companies to get in and make a case, said Michaeline Crowell. Not sure how to pronounce names sometimes. A lobbyist at lobbying and public affairs firm S3 Group, who served as Sanders' chief of staff for more than 5 years. The culture in the office is one where lobbyists are mistrusted and they're more likely to discount what they hear directly from companies. Yeah, let's see. Politico spoke to more than a dozen lobbyists and lawyers about having Sanders at the helm of the HELP committee. Oh, God, they love their acronyms. Some of whom were granted anonymity to talk about the senator's dynamic with K Street. Multiple lobbyists represented the health insurers, pharmaceutical companies, providers, and health systems told Politico they're going to have a quote bank shot their advocacy to get their messages across. Lobbyists lobbying other lawmakers on the committee and getting into the ears of progressive lawmakers and left-leaning organizations. Good fucking luck. There are ways to get things passively on his radar if you know him well enough, if you know who he listens to or what he reads. Sanders' office declined to respond to questions from Politico, including those about his relationship with lobbyists. That makes sense. Look at this old fuck sleeping. Lobbyists said another strategy could be working to insert favorable provisions into larger bills, lean on the panel's House counterpart, the Energy and Commerce Committee, or go to Senator Patty Murray from Washington, who is stepping down as Help Committee chair to head the Senate Appropriations Committee. It's not status quo. We're going to have to be creative with patient groups to get him to listen, said lobbyists. If I'm going to be completely honest, we'll still be trying to figure out what we're going to do. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do. Sanders has talked about working to boost access to care, lower drug costs, expand the healthcare workforce, and raise wages, and possibly reach across the aisle. Sanders is also expected to push the jurisdictional bounds of the committee, potentially taking on issues such as the health impacts of climate change. Makes sense. K Street will likely watch how often Sanders collaborates with the committee's incoming ranking members. Senator Bill Cassidy, as the two have a history of working across the aisle. Although some lobbyists have floated policies around drug pricing and surprise billing as a possibility for them to find agreement, it's not entirely clear if they'll end up on the same page. Oh yeah, like I love this. So obviously, drugs, like anything else, there is a pretty mostly soft cost to developing drugs, in the sense that, like, a lot of drugs are developed through R&D in colleges, which are public institutions, and a lot of those patents are then handed over to drug manufacturers so that they can then produce it. They're then given the patent so that they can make certain profits. The thing that you'll also notice a lot in America, specifically, is you'll notice how strangely drug costs just keep going up and 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 up, and up constantly, to a point where they become like the price of some drugs become deterrents for like people to, you know, get care. Sometimes it's kind of like how ambulances, like to take an ambulance is incredibly expensive. Most people, me included, have told like loved ones, family members, any of that sort of stuff, that if I am in any kind of health emergency, you put me in the car and you drive your ass quickly to the hospital. But by God, don't you dare, don't you fucking dare call an ambulance, because ambulances are super fucking expensive. But you don't get an ambulance, you know, you're gambling with your life doing that. And that's the gamble that everyday Americans have to make all the fucking time. You know, but somehow, you know, ambulances, do they get more costly? It's a car, it will last a certain amount of years. It's the equipment in it is the same stuff you're buying at the same stuff that you're stocking from the hospital building. What's the cost that's going up? There is no material difference year over year. It's simply the never-ending desire for growth that a capitalized healthcare system is always going to reinforce. At the end of the day, these institutions, these hospitals, are there to make a profit, not to provide healthcare. Therefore, if they can make more money, they will do so. If it means that they help less people or more people go bankrupt because of it, not their problem. The thing they're concerned with is making money. And again, same with insurers. It's why if you've ever dealt with your insurance, how often do they try to weasel out of ways for paying for care? You pay into your insurance every single month. And every time you go to a doctor, anything, they try everything they can to undermine the fact that you pay them every single month. And they're trying to get you to pay them their full amount while paying out to you as little as possible. That margin is how they make their money. So keep that in mind all the time. Our system is super fucked. And surprise billing. Surprise billing is colloquially referring to, if you go to, as a good example, if you have Cigna, and you go to the hospital, right? You get seen, you show up, you show them your health insurance card. They take the hospital takes Cigna, right? You go to the emergency room or whatever. They do, you lay in the bed. They do your vitals. They do all this shit. They maybe take some blood. They run some tests. Do all this. They give you some oxygen, maybe. Who knows? Whatever it is. They discharge you. You sign some paperwork. You probably pay your copay. You go home. Now, what surprise billing refers to is when months later, weeks later, you get a letter in the mail informing you that while the hospital that you went to is in network for, like, Cigna as a good example, you saw 5 nurses. One of them is not in network at Cigna. One of them maybe is a like traveling nurse, or like, I forget, I think they're called CNAs, I could be wrong. But maybe you were helped by 5 nurses. That's kind of a lot. Like 2 nurses, let's go. And one of them is a resident there. That's always their hospital. The other one is coming over from another hospital. The other person is, they travel around and pick up hours at different hospitals. Well, they're not contracted and they're not an employee of that hospital, meaning they're not in network under Cigna the same way your other nurse was. Now, you have to pay for any services that that nurse performed and any resources that that nurse used to help you at your time in the hospital, which can cost a lot of money. It's also the fact that that can also happen with ambulances. Your insurance will cover usually a certain percentage of any ambulance that you might need, unless the ambulance company that you got picked up by isn't in network, and now you're stuck with an ambulance bill. And the uninsured ambulance bills can be in the tens of thousands. Actually, I would like to know that. Let me give you an accurate number. Nope. Here, let's switch to mine. Switch to this really quick. Let's take a look. Because I don't uninsured and ambulance costs. There we go. There we go. Without insurance. Let's see. Without insurance, the average cost of an ambulance ride is around $1,200. However, factors like ground mileage and severity of services affect the final price of ambulance services. So you're looking at a bare minimum of $1,200 just to get where you're going. Also, by the way, if that ambulance, again, is not in network, there's also doctors on that. There's also a driver on that you're going to have to also pay for. So when we talk about the way these healthcare companies kind of end up deterring people from using their services, even though they might pay for their insurance. Again, that gap is where they make their profits. And also, they also tend to buy their own stock because a good amount of these companies are also publicly traded companies. So, you have their CEOs and you have their higher ups buying into their own stock, which makes the actual inventory of stock lower, which creates scarcity, which increases the value. But that value is not real. There isn't real value being created. It's just speculative value. So I know that was a lot, but let's see. K Street will likely watch how Sanders collaborates with committee's incoming ranking member, Bill Cassidy, as the two have a history. Oh, I already read this. There's a good chance the committee becomes a one-legged duck swimming in circles, said a Republican lobbyist and former help committee staffer granted anonymity to speak freely. Oh, yes, I'm sure. Republicans who are legendarily known for not giving a shit about the quality of healthcare in America. I am sure they're disappointed that they're not running this. But if the two end up aligning on some issues, that could be a liability for some industry clients on K Street. Jeff Forbes, co-founder of lobbying and public affairs firm Forbes Tate, said Sanders has a history of bipartisanship, particularly while chairing the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, and will work to get stuff done. The question is going to be what and at whose expense. Does corporate America have to worry? Of course they do. Between a populist Republican like Cassidy and a left-wing chairman like Sanders, they'll have plenty of anti-corporate areas of mutual interest, which I 5 billion% support. And also most Americans hate hospitals, hate insurers, and aren't fans of corporations. Why would they? With the Senate majority comes subpoena power, and it's almost certain that health executives, oh shit, I didn't even think about this, will be called to testify before the committee of reputational risk for corporations. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Damn. My boy Bernie needs to just be like, get your bitch asses up here and explain to me how, why the fuck you're buying, why instead of raising your wages and granting yourself the ability to hire more people, you just you just spent millions on stock buybacks. Subpoena authority is certainly something that gets people paying attention, said Rafi Prober, co-head of the Congressional Investigations Practice at Aiken Gump Strauss Howard and Feld. Jesus Christ. And conditions are ripe for the Help Committee to beef up its hearing schedule. The panel has only a few must-do items next session, reauthorizing both pandemic preparedness legislation, known as the PAPA, and an animal drug user fee bill. Animal drug user, interesting. And Democratic priorities aren't expected to move, given the GOP-controlled House. This gives Sanders the runway to dig into any issue he wants. Most senior members of Congress have relationships with K Street because lobbyists have worked for or closely with them while serving as Capitol Hill aides, have donated to their campaigns, or otherwise have become close with their staff. If you ever wanted to know why we have the incredibly unpopular, incredibly shitty system that we have, this right here is why. This paragraph is the reason why we have the failing healthcare system that we have. This is why people go into medical bankruptcy, or why people shirk care while their health deteriorates. This right here. Because at the end of the day, these people, there is an entire cottage industry within the pharmaceutical and healthcare and medical industrial complex to softly influence the government. Chaya Raichik talked earlier about poison. You want to talk about poison? This is fucking poison. This is fucking cancerous. Sanders, meanwhile, isn't rubbing elbows with executives and lobbyists at fundraisers and doesn't have a kitchen cabinet or donor advisors he talks with about policy. Crowell and others said. He's sworn off all money from political action committees, even ones run by other senators and members of Congress, to his Senate campaigns. It's because Bernie is a fucking rock. Further, most of his staffers have a mix of experience working for him, progressive campaigns and nonprofits, and share the aversion to downtown corporate lobbyists. The prospects of a Sanders-led help committee are refreshing and exciting, said Craig Holman, a lobbyist at Public Citizen who works on money in politics and ethics issues. Ah, yes, the guy who's like, yes, I actively want to fight the money in politics and the really shady ethics. Is like, yep, that's the guy I want. This should tell you, like, the fact that this guy is excited and the other ones aren't should tell you everything about that relationship. The chairman will give everyone their due, including lobbyists representing the public's interest, without being swayed by campaign cash, he said. Sanders' new leadership position will help build some equity between the influence of the haves and the have-nots, of which Public Citizen and other nonprofits more or less qualify as the latter. But one Democratic lobbyist who advocates before the Health Committee, who was granted anonymity to speak candidly about the dynamic, said Sanders' staff members rarely take people's meetings. It's hard to find a lobbyist who has had much success working with his staff. If the committee wants to be taken seriously on some very important issues, they're going to need to be more open to talking with stakeholders, even ones they don't like. Bullshit. That is bullshit. And you want to know why it's bullshit? Because it's the same, like, well, you know, these are the executives and these companies are, you know, they're trying to run a profit and run a business and they're trying to look out for the best of the people of the United States while also turning a profit. Bullshit. Utter bullshit. Nobody in his office should ever take a meeting unless it's with a CEO or one of the highest of the executives. In my opinion, they shouldn't even fucking bother with lobbyists. It should be like, we got no interest in talking to you guys. We know you're just gonna spew bullshit. We know you're just gonna inflate your numbers. We know that you're just gonna play games with definitions, and we know what you all do in the in terms of peddling influence. Like, fucking spare me. Let's see. Not all lobbyists are so down on their prospects. Michael Strazello, the leader of the Buchanan, Igersell, and Rooney's federal government relations practice, said he is optimistic about working with Sanders and his staff. He can be educated just like every other senator. Influence is a strong word, to be honest, but I do believe that he is open to continuous education and understands the impacts of new policies. I don't think he's necessarily set in his ways about everything. Bernie, I think the problem is this guy thinks that it's education that Bernie lacks, which it's not. What Bernie lacks is a respect for their bullshit. What Bernie has in spades is an understanding of politics and an ideological opposition to these people. That's what makes Bernie dangerous, because they can educate him all they want. But at the end of the day, his ideological leanings and his ideological biases are going to be what drives him in opposition to these groups. They are going to find it to be incredibly difficult to work with him, simply for the basis that as much as they want to give him data that says that, oh, this or that thing is actually good if we're in charge, at the end of the day, Bernie opposes them from a fundamental, societally meaningful level. Like, he is going to look at any of that and be like, no, like, are you insane? Like, no, I understand what's happening here. Like, you guys are just bilking money from people for health services. Like, I don't agree with this from a fundamental level. So why would I ever concede anything? I fundamentally disagree with the conception of how you fit into our society. So, good luck, buddy. Aside from the current staff, much of the dynamic with KG will depend on how he brings in to work with the committee. Several lobbyists told Politico, I just hope they stay because we at least know how we will be working with next year, or who we will be working with next year, and can have conversations with them, said the lobbyist, who was granted anonymity to speak about the relationship in an email. I worry about the staff changing some and not knowing any of the players coming in and their approach to interacting with downtown. Yeah. Love to see it. I love it. I absolutely love it. When it comes down to it, Bernie is a guy who doesn't fuck around. I mean, that's... One second. There we go. That. Bernie being in this position, I think will be good. I really hope he gets does hearings, like public hearings, and he just fucking just mauls these guys. That's what I think. If you want to talk about, I can't even think of the last time I heard Biden say anything meaningful, right? Like, Biden might as well not exist right now, right? But if you want to talk about a politically significant moment and a politically significant what's the word I'm looking for? Show, Bernie leading this committee is going to be big. I think it has the potential to really galvanize and undermine the healthcare conversation that we always have to have, that I don't think is super useful. Or not super useful, I should say. That's kind of the same conversation about how is this good for people? How is this giving us the outcomes we want? We pay all of this money, our healthcare is more expensive, our results are worse. So, but either way, yeah, Bernie has a chance, I think, with this, in this committee, with the ability of subpoena power, to really platform these institutions, some of these people, and really seize on the ability to critique them in front of the American people without having to worry about shady news moderators kind of playing ball for a lot of the right-wing framing of a lot of this stuff. So of our healthcare system and the positive spin that kind of gets thrown its way. But I'm excited to see. I really hope he is able to. What just happened? Okay, I really hope that he's going to be able to kind of seize on that. I'd be really excited about that. But I'm gonna do that so it's not super bright. Maybe let's go with that one. Sure, that works for me. Okay, so okay, man, I'm not gonna lie, that Libs of TikTok one really pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, let's do something fun, shall we? I think we should do something just a little bit fun, just a little, just a little bit, Actually, let's see. Wait. He didn't do a. Wait, what was that? 1 second. Right. Okay. Let's see. I don't suppose he. I'm pretty sure he didn't, but. Stop. I don't want to. No, stop it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Uh-huh. Right. I don't think he talked about it on his channel. I don't think he's talked about it. Okay, that's fine. So, I don't know if you've heard, but they made a sequel to Knives Out. It's pretty good. I don't know if it's like as good. I really, really liked the first Knives Out. I'm not sure if it's quite on that level, but I did really enjoy it. And I want to say up front, the thing that made me not enjoy it quite as much is it's a, without giving away any spoilers, it picked its target of who it wanted to lampoon, who it wanted to satirize. And I'll be honest with you guys. I'm really tired of talking about this guy. I am tired. I don't want to say who. I really don't. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to spoil it or anything. But like, boy, am I tired. Like, good God. If I have to hear about this individual that movie is essentially about anymore, my brain might explode. But, it's a good movie. But our resident film reviewer, my cousin Ben Shapiro, didn't really seem to like it. So I heard he was like not super happy with the movie. So I'm kind of curious what his oh no, he's gonna spoil it, son of a bitch. Okay. We're gonna have to spoil it. I'm sorry. Spoilers in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's basically a satirization of Elon Musk. That's essentially what a lot of the movie is. A lot of the movie is a satire on Elon Musk and kind of the like internet's I don't want to say like the internet's what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like the internet's pumping up of him as like this individual of like great interest. And kind of the way that everyone, the way that the internet kind of latched on to Elon as like this, this, oh my God, Tony Stark like guy or whatever, right? And the movie generally, it satirizes essentially Elon Musk. It's a murder mystery. It's a good movie. I'm not going to spoil. Hopefully Ben doesn't spoil just spoil the movie. But we'll find out. Either way, good movie, well-made movie, well acted. All the rest of that stuff, but let's get into it. I regret to inform you that Glass Onion is actively bad. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Movies are allowed to be bad. People are allowed to think movies are bad. I will discuss first the actual writing of the movie, followed by the politics of it. Both suck. Spoilers follow. Okay. First, the writing. The first half of the movie is a complete misdirect and a waste of time. Well, I hate to tell you this, Ben, but you decided to turn on your Netflix machine and watch a murder mystery. Yeah, there's gonna be some red herrings, and there's gonna be some misdirection. It's kind of part of the thing. Let's see. We only find out about the actual murder we're supposed to investigate full 1 hour and 10 minutes into the film, as well as an entirely new backstory. Miles never invited Blanc, and Andy has a twin sister masquerading as her. We're actively deceived by the writer. Did you hear that, guys? There was a plot twist, and Ben is complaining about the plot twist. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the point of the movie. Okay, so the metaphor that Benoit Blanc, like what the movie, the kind of the metaphor of the glass onion is an object that at its face might seem complex, but upon inspection is incredibly simple. In the sense that an onion has, like, an onion, we all know Shrek, all right? We all know Shrek. I don't need to explain that. We all know Shrek. Ogres are like onions, layers, complexity, da-da-da-da-da, right? But it's made of glass. Glass is completely see-through. So the idea, you get the point. I don't think I need to explain that too much farther. But like the entire movie is the entire movie is a glass onion. It's masquerading as complex when being rather simple. Its main antagonist, portends to be incredibly complex, is very simple. The motivations seem complex, are incredibly simple. I would honestly say, if you want to also describe kind of our government to a degree and kind of the way it operates, especially when you see the like House votes that are happening right now, seems complex, is actually rather simple. But yeah, okay. It's also not quite a murder mystery in the same way the first one was. It's different. I know that's it's really crazy. Why the misdirect? Because the story itself, in the purest form of incredible laziness, because the story itself, in the purest form of incredible laziness, it relies on not one, not two, but three bad writing tropes: an identical twin, a comprehensive journal, and a moron of a murderer. So here's the thing. Tropes, all tropes, like the reason why Knives Out is a franchise, or at the very least, like what made it unique as a franchise when the first one came out, was we don't really get murder mysteries. We don't get those kinds of movies anymore. We don't have movies that that present those tropes. Like, what makes a murder mystery is a big house with a lot of people who disagree and have motives to kill each other or kill somebody, and you discerning the thing, and within that you play around with different, you invert the tropes, or you play into some but not others, or you do other things, and like, again, like Ben perfectly, I really do like how Ben kind of reveals, because like Ben wanted to work in Hollywood, and you can kind of see why he was never gonna be able to work in Hollywood, because like Ben, I hate to tell you this, brother, but that, like, yeah, it's tropey because it's supposed to seem complex while being simple. Where's the I wonder if I can find it really quickly. What's the I know I can find it, actually. Let's see if we can check Twitter. Glass onion. There we go. I want to see the there it is. Like, okay, keep this in mind. Keep this in mind while Ben talks about this.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
Like that is the entire movie. The entire movie is doing that. Like, you keep thinking it's like all this stuff, because the first one was rather complex. The first one, a lot of things were happening. The way it was presented was very interesting, very compelling, but a lot of things are happening. A lot of, you know, people are learning about this and about that, and then they're taking that information and acting upon it, and then you see the result, and and it all flows back to one decision that we thought was one decision, but it was actually another decision. And it's all these things, right? Like, it's all these things. First one, God, I fucking love the first Knives Out, but yeah, and that's like the whole point of the movie. Like, Ben, you missed the point of it. It's supposed to trick you and then be like, no, it's just stupid. It's also a commentary on Elon Musk, or at least it's a very obvious commentary on Elon Musk. Why the misdirect? Because it's I can answer this one simply though. Why the misdirect? Because it would be boring if there wasn't a misdirect in a murder mystery. What kind of murder mystery doesn't have a misdirect? Also, what kind of murder mystery doesn't have like fun murder mystery tropes? You can write your way out of literally any scenario given an identical twin, which removes the need of linear coherence. I don't know why. Wait, why does it? Huh? What? Okay. A comprehensive journal, which explains everything, and a moron for a murder. Wait, what's the journal? What journal is he responding? Oh, wait, is he? Wait, which explains everything. Oh, right. Okay, so he's talking about Andy's journal. Right, okay. Yeah? Like, again? Like, that's, yeah? It's kind of the point? For plot logic? No, the whole point is to trick you into is to make you believe that there's anything complex going on. The whole movie is doing that. Especially the way it's also like, if you watch murder mysteries, it's also all about when they give you information and what time in the story, at what point in the story that information is given to you. If you see two people talking, and they do this a lot in the movie, where you'll see two people talking in the background, right? And like in most movies, you're just like, they're just acting in the background. But in actuality, like for the story, you eventually need to see that conversation to understand, like, you know, what happens next. And there's a lot of scenes where they cut out pieces of the scene, pieces of a reaction, so that you get a certain you get a certain inference from a scene, but you're missing like it's all about starting you from like this point right here, and as the story goes on, you expand it until you have all of the information. This isn't hard, Ben. I don't review movies. Why is this hard? Jesus. So instead we get an hour of waste of time. It's not, because you like, Christ above. Also, the movie plays out linearly in a very linearly in one, like they basically go through the story one full time, and then you go back and go over all the little details and see how the pieces landed where they went. So it's, you know, that's kind of how you set these kinds of movies up, because we have to make up for the fact that the murderer is perfectly obvious from moment one. Yes, that's also, what's the word? That is also who, like, what did you say? Sorry. So instead of getting an hour, it's not going to make fun of a murder is perfectly obvious. So yeah, it is perfectly honest. There's an entire scene. I remember I watched the movie. I saw the dude basically kill the guy in front of everybody. And then when they play you the flashback, the scene changes, because that character was actively trying to socially like rewrite history through his influence of the other characters. So when he would talk about it, it would show his perspective of what happened, which was an outright lie. Even though I saw it, I forgot for a little bit that I saw it, and I questioned myself and went like, wait, didn't he do this? I swear I saw him do that, because I noted it in my head. But like, you know, because the other characters, they didn't note it. They were just like, well, I don't know. I mean, I should listen to this person. Like, Christ above, Ben. Come on. Ryan Johnson actually knows this. That's why by the end, he is telling the audience via Blanc that everything Miles Braun did is dumb. Read the entire plot of the film. It's this.
So dumb.
So dumb.
So dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
God, that's so fucking satisfying. Maybe I should totally make that a thing. Maybe a sound or something. Let's see. What do we got? A Knives Out, a Ryan Johnson whodunit. Yes, let's see. This is the lazy writer's way out. You know what you're written. You know what your written is bad. You know that your writing is bad. Come on, Ben. Or you just say it's bad and hey, look, now you're clever and cynical. For more on this and many more on Johnson's giant failures, check out this excellent review. Is this gonna be... I'm kind of curious who this is. Bad writing. Who are you? All-time movie rankings. Ooh, wait. Yeah, I want to wait. What I grew up 5,000 person town in Ohio. Come on. Started writing poetry at 15, fiction at 19, movie analysis at 23. Novelist. Hereditary, key shots. No shit. Hereditary. Oh, fucking terrifying movie. Oh, I can't wait. Let's see. All-timers. Let's go. Give it to me. Ranking last updated. Okay. Okay, I need to know what's in the... Okay, Colossal. American Psycho. Avatar: The Way of Water. Ugh. Wait, what is this? Okay, The Favor Scope. Let's see, quick jump. Let's see. This was a live list of movies I've watched since beginning of this. This is 2022. Update section. Check out my rankings for 2022 here. Okay, yeah, give me your 2022 rankings. Ranking 2022. Okay, let's see. Avatar, Triangle of Sadness. Okay, I've heard Triangle of Sadness is good. Avatar seems like it's shit. Amazing. X. Oh, which one is that? Is that the that's the A24 movie, right? That's Mia Goth? Yes, it is. RRR, I've heard of this. It's an Indian movie. Barbarian, I've heard that's good. I need to watch it. First of Love, impressive. Banshees of people really like Banshees. Batman, that's fine. Genius, a Kanye. I feel like I could enjoy this. I'm just not sure. Bad God, Bones and All, Elvis. I would put Elvis in the really good. I would agree with that. I really liked it. Bones and All, I think I did not see this. Black Phone. Oh, I thought Black Phone was fucking bad. I'm not gonna lie. Black Phone was kind of trash to me. Adam Project, no idea. Turning Red. Wow, he has it in the really good category. Okay. Crimes of the Future. Top Gun Maverick. Positives. Bullet Train. Neutral. 1,000 Years of Longing. Really? Okay. Death on the Nile. I liked Death on the Nile. You want to know what another good movie is? Death on the Nile is another good mystery type movie. Flawed. Minions, Rise of Gru. Negatives. Doctor Strange. Outright Bad. Morbius. Absolutely. Black Adam. Absolutely. Bodies. What? No. Bodies was good. Bodies. Another murder mystery, but also it's it was a what's it called? Bodies was like a kind of like it was like a satire of a movie like Knives Out or Glass Onion. Okay, now to the politics. This is the meaty part. This was all the Ben isn't really good at film analysis. And also I don't like tropes, which is like fine if you're like, I'm not into tropes, but tropes inherently like aren't really bad. Like him putting in like, oh, it's bad tropes. I'm like, well, it's tropes. It's tropes. You're either amenable to them or you're not. Like, now the politics. Oh, here's the fun. Well, actually, you know what? Oh, politics. Ooh. The fun part. No, stop it. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I don't care. Now the politics. Ryan Johnson's politics is as lazy as his writing. Okay, his take on the universe is that Elon Musk is a bad and stupid man, and that anyone who likes him in media, politics, or tech is being paid off by him. No, wait. Okay, so it's not okay. So Ben, let me help you out, buddy. his take on the universe is that Elon Musk is bad. That is true. Actually, his specific take on Elon Musk is bad isn't that Elon Musk is bad. His take is that Elon Musk is unimpressive and actually dumb. That again,
Brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
it's just dumb. He's just dumb. He's shallow. He affects complexity. He's just dumb. Like that's all it is. That's all it is. He is the character of Blonde. Is that what it is? Man. Yeah. Miles Braun. That's what it is. The character of Miles Braun is somebody who was like the idea guy of a company, angled their way through like legal contract law to be the head of the company, and then just kind of LARPed their way as like a genius into being incredibly successful. That's kind of like the critique of Elon, is that like while he's the richest, or I guess he was the richest person on earth, that status of being incredibly rich doesn't actually have any analytical value in terms of their intelligence or worth. Like Miles Braun, regardless of his like wealth and everything else, is a fucking idiot. He says words that don't exist throughout the entire movie. He has these like long speeches of like of disruption, which if you've ever spent time in the crypto space, they love their disruption. But he does like I'm a disruptor, I'm doing something, I'm doing all this different type of stuff, when you find out the thing that he's trying to do is no more complex than simply any other company that creates a product that isn't ready. But actually, now that I think about it, there's a great parallel to this. So towards the end of the movie, and kind of the impetus behind a lot of the moving pieces by the end of the movie and the story that's happening and the like murder and everything else that's going on, a lot of it is actually Miles Braun attempting to bring a product, basically attempting to launch Cyberpunk 2077, but for electricity infrastructure. That's essentially what he's doing. He's found a resource in his mind that is clean, renewable, and infinite energy, or whatever. Yeah, infinite energy that would power the world, right? And he describes it of like powering people's dreams and doing all this nonsense. I remember I turned to my girlfriend when he was like doing his full speech, and I was like, man, I just want my TV to turn on. I don't need all this powering my dream bullshit. But yeah, there's like these idea guys, and we see them. It's like Steve Jobs or any of these big techie guys that come along. Same with like Zuckerberg. They have these like grand visions of these things that they build, and like they build these cults around them. And I don't even know if I want to say cult so much as it's hostages, because all the people he's surrounded by in the movie, Catherine Hahn's character, Dave Bautista's character, all of these people aren't friends with him and don't hold the views of him that they do because it's a genuine belief. It's because they've become successful through relation with him, and because of that, they've basically hitched their horses to him. There's like a scientist character who signs off on this miracle material, which, by the way, you learn is incredibly dangerous and would lead to the probable deaths of millions. But like he signs off on it because at the end of the day, like his buggy is hitched to Miles Braun's horse, unfortunately. And like if he doesn't do it, then like his status, his place in society is gone. Same with Catherine Hahn's character, who's a local politician. Without Miles Braun's money, she wouldn't be able to fund her campaign and probably steamroll her competition. So again, it's like one of those things where like when when Ben says anyone who likes him in media, politics, or tech is being paid off by him, that's not quite the critique, because the actual thing, like, my mouse just died for a second. I don't know what that was about. The thing that the characters are, they don't like him. If Ben was paying attention for the entire movie, he would have noticed that none of the characters like Miles Braun. They all despise the guy. But at the end of the day, he's the richest guy in the world, and he holds so much power that he wields it effortlessly to change their mind to his preferred opinion. Like, that's, you know, but they all hate him. The whole crux of the story is that they all hate him and they want to kill him, and they all have at least one motivating factor, or one motivating one piece of motivation, I should say, to kill him. Like, you know, so it's like, okay, this is an incredibly stupid theory, since Musk is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in human history. Ben is doing it. Ben is doing it right now. How many rockets has Johnson launched lately? And it's a foolish conspiracy theory to boot. First of all, it's not a conspiracy theory. First of all, the idea, if you ask Ben, if the amount of money that people like Elon Musk wield in influence towards politicians is conspiracy, he'd be like, of course it's not conspiracy. Of course, incredibly wealthy people wield their wealth to have an outsized influence on politics, local or even global. He would agree to that. He understands this relationship. And you want to know how he understands this? Because he had a problem with Twitter working with the FBI. He understands the intersection of incredible wealth and governmental bodies. He understands this for everything else except Elon Musk. Specifically, Elon Musk, who reinforces and signal boosts his ideological goals and values. Like, successful entrepreneurs understand also. Let's also understand this. Being an entrepreneur is, and you know, I'm sure there will be some people that will disagree with me, and that's fine. But being an entrepreneur, utterly unimpressive. Being an entrepreneur is you betting on random companies, and when one of them strikes it, you bet more. You put more down on the table until you're making a ton of money off of other people's labor, off of other people's organization, off of other people's work. That's all entrepreneurship is, or the entrepreneurial spirit is. Especially somebody like Elon Musk, who was born with like diamond mine money. You can spare me that this guy built an empire out of nothing. He built the largest accumulation of wealth off of already owning diamond mines from, like, as an inheritance. Understand that. This is somebody starting on like the 1 yard line. I don't know football that well. This is, you know, let me make this easier. This is somebody pulling like number 31 in the Royal Rumble after like number 30 already came out and won the whole thing. That's what this is. That's what Elon Musk is. Elon Musk was in a no-fail position from birth. And Ben Shapiro over here is filleting him on his platform. Like Ben Shapiro is doing the thing that Ryan Johnson is like satirizing, where he says, you think this guy is complex. You think this guy is this interesting, successful figure. You think this guy is impressive because he has money, but he's just as dumb as any other rich person that didn't have to work a day in their life. He's just as dumb as everybody else who didn't have to really ever think about their future, because whatever they wanted to do, they would just immediately buy themselves into being successful. Good job, Ben. How to explain his dumb theory? Bad writing, of course. Okay, you can't just say bad writing, Ben. Johnson comes up. Wait, what is this? Oh, how many rockets is Johnson? Wait, is that the? Also, yeah, I just thought about that. Is that the mark of how we, what's the word? Gauge intelligence? Oh, also, I'm sorry. How many of those has Elon been in? How many of those has he manned? Does Elon Musk have any idea how a rocket actually works, or does he just hire people who know how rockets work? Like, let's be honest. Let's see. Johnson comes up with a fake partner who is the actual smart person. Miles/Musk cheated by bribing people. Yeah. Are you is that shocking? Do we need to talk about if anything, if you wanted to draw a comparison, that's more of a comparison to Zuckerberg and his relationship with the other guy who made Facebook, who I can't remember his name. But yeah, like, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, there are like what Andy in the movie represents is not like another person in the metaphor. She represents the workers and the actual engineers that work for Elon, and how their influence is undermined and devalued by this the overestimation of Elon Musk's contributions. His contributions are, I have money. That's his contributions. But his persona makes it into, oh no, I'm like in the basement toiling away, building the fucking shit from Iron Man 2. Isn't that vibranium that he makes? Yes, building like vibranium. I'm pretty sure it's vibranium that he makes. What about all the people who like Musk? It's funny, the movie doesn't actually talk about any of those people. Like, it's funny. Ben is making it about, he keeps trying to tie in like Musk stans or people who are just like, I don't know, he makes some good stuff, I guess. It's not, the movie actually isn't at all concerned or interested in normal people. They're dumb and corrupt too. Well, they're certainly dumb because they think a dumb guy is complex, but corrupt, corruption in the meaningful sense is reserved only for the upper class. Which means you need no logic for them. So more bad writing. Oh, this is stupid. This means that all Miles' friends/supporters. Nope. No. No. This is his close inner circle of, and this friends should be in quotation marks, because he is not friends with them because they're friends. Again, if Ben had paid attention to the flashbacks, they didn't like Miles in the beginning. They didn't like him at all. They only liked him because they only like him in the present because he has money. Because when you go back in the movie in the flashbacks, when he's broke or when he's like, he's a nobody, they all find him really annoying. They still finding him annoying throughout the movie. But again, Ben unfortunately did not pay attention. Supporters are still sucking at the golden teat from Miles/Musk because he keeps signing them checks. Yeah, yes, the whole, yes, that is true. Also, why are you, so we talked a little bit earlier about the kind of flattening of like groups to kind of launder like worse groups with normal people. This is another one. Like, people who like Elon Musk and go to normal 9-to-5s, I don't care about. They're not corrupt. They're like, they're kind of dumb for not seeing it, but it's fine. Like, we all like dumb things. I like dumb shit. But like, the movie's critique is for his friends and how much money has influenced them. to the point that they sell their opinions, they sell their perspective, everything to this one individual to have power, to be. There's a reason also the movie takes place during COVID. There's a reason why they make it a point that these rich people get to basically pretend like COVID doesn't exist, because their wealth has bought them, and their adjacent relation to wealth has bought them an ability to not participate with the rest of society. They get to be above all that, all of us. Toilet, getting all locked up in our houses and shit. So no, this has had nothing to do with supporters, Ben. It has everything to do with, this is correct. Yes, this is correct. You don't need supporters, though. It's just his, quote, friends. He doesn't actually have friends. But any of them could, at any time, burn down Miles and Musk and reap massive benefits. Such as, did Ben just not watch this movie? Holy shit, they perjured themselves under penalty of law in the movie. No, they can't. Like, they can't. There is no benefit. They are trapped until the point that he had no power after Helen, the sister of Andy. Again, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm sorry, I know I'm spoiling things. But like, only after his empire is utterly destroyed and he will be left with no ability to continue to buy their influence, that's when they turn on him. Like, yeah, like, no, they can't. They perjured themselves. They are legally trapped. They can't go back on that. And also the fact that like it also revolves around finding a piece of evidence. And once that evidence is revealed, they're fucked. They're all completely fucked. Because it means that they lied. Birdie would immediately become a famous social justice warrior. For what? Miles is ostensibly left-wing. He talks about climate change. How, like, what are you talking about? Also, social justice warrior for what? For what, dude? Like, oh my God, he didn't watch the movie. He didn't watch the movie. Wiping out any Malaysian sweatshop problems. Somebody's yelling in the next room. Okay, anyway. But like what? The whole, like, the plot point with her is that she's currently bought in like manufacturing her oh, what is it? Is it towels or some shit? I don't fucking remember. It's like a bathrobe or some nonsense. But it's like she manufactures like her clothing line in like sweatshops because she's also fucking, where is it?
Dumb.
Thank you. But like, she's also dumb. I mean, she's dumb throughout the entire fucking movie. She's like a fucking idiot. But like, she's trapped in the sense that like she, like, Miles tells her she needs to take, that she's going to be taking the fall for the sweatshops, even though Miles is also tied into the sweatshop game. So it's just so stupid. Oh, making sweatpants. That's what it is. Making sweatpants. Oh my God. Wiping out Malaysian sweat, which wouldn't happen. What? How would she wipe out Malaysian sweatshop problems? Claire would become president. What? He didn't watch the movie. Oh my God, he didn't watch the movie. He didn't watch the movie. There's no chance he watched the movie. He must have only read that article. There's no way you misinterpret this movie this much. Like, if I remember correctly, she's like a local senator. She's not that high up on the ring. Like, oh my God, Peg or Whiskey. Okay, those are the two. Would become for what? For what? Peg basically doesn't exist in the movie. And Whiskey is also basically doesn't exist unless, oh my God. Oh no. Lionel would become a virtuous whistleblower. Again, what is this virtuous? No, just a whistleblower. What, are you against whistleblowers? Wait. Not only that, but like, would this be good? No, because she's corrupt. Would this happen? No, because how would this happen? Like, the one with Birdie can't happen because with one company you can't wipe out Malaysian sweatshops. How many companies still use Malaysian slave labor, for God's sakes? Even though we all know it exists, it still happens. Like, this wouldn't happen. This would be actively bad because, like, she's a corrupt politician. Like, not good. These two barely exist in the movie. Like, they're just kind of there. Like, one of them's an assistant and the other one is just a... Oh my god, he didn't watch the movie. The only one, not only that, but he was virtuous. And it's like, yeah, like, Lionel was the only character in that entire fucking movie who, if he had done that, if he had done the right thing and, like, not signed off on Miles's thing, which, granted, he would just fire him and bring in somebody else that would sign off on it, or if he whistle blew, it would actually be good. The material outcome would be good. Like, none of these matters. They're all just personal. Like, being famous would just be a personal, would be like a personal, like, personal increase of value, like social value, which should tell you a lot, that, like, Ben is equalizing whistleblowing that would save millions of people's lives, that they explicitly tell us would save millions of lives, with somebody just becoming famous or becoming a social justice warrior on social media. That's what to Ben, those things are, like, right here. To Ben, they're, like, super equal. It's not like one of them actually has an impact on people's lives. Jesus Christ. Ben, he didn't watch the movie. There's no way he watched this movie. There's zero fucking chance he watched this movie. Birdie would... Okay. But in Johnson's bizarro world, taking down the most powerful and rich person in the world is something nobody would consider. What? First of all, second of all, where the fuck is Duke? Where the fuck is Duke? Oh, you know, I just thought about that. Is it not interesting that Ben Shapiro has no interest in mentioning Duke, which is Dave Bautista's character, who is a Twitch streamer, not unlike myself, almost as successful as I am, who hawks like big penis pills and shit like that, and a lot of other adjacent right-wing supplement game type stuff. Is it a wonder that Ben didn't want to talk about that parallel? I would say we're, like, in that form, we're probably talking about a mix of, like, Alex Jones and Joe Rogan. But I find it interesting that Ben Shapiro, a very, very online right-wing figure, is not interested in even commenting. Oh, wait. What? Oh, okay, it comes up. Oh, thank God. But I find it interesting that he really hasn't had a lot to say about Duke. Does he only mention Duke in this one tweet? Let's see. Oh, I just skipped a tweet. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, that's okay. He mentions Duke once. Okay. Once. Meanwhile, I've had to hear about the other characters a couple times. Okay, he mentioned him. Okay, I just missed the tweet. That's my fault. But, okay. Duke would become overnight. Okay. Yeah, he also... Yeah, wait, huh? Yep, Did I just completely scrolled past that tweet. What's up, Wolf? Not very long. I'm actually a bit over. I'm just gonna finish this up and then I gotta ski-daddle. But Thursday. But yeah, okay, let's read this one really quick. But burn down Mazda, like literally any of them, Duke would become overnight the biggest host in the world for uncovering a conspiracy in silence. That's your wait. That's your thing. Okay, so he's not gonna talk anything about. Okay, Okay. Yeah, Duke's, well, actually Duke's character is the most what's the word, loyal to him, because Duke's character was somebody who didn't already really have money or wealth or influence. He got it after receiving a lot of funds from a wealthy donor. Okay. Oh, I forgot to switch this over. Yeah, he did mention him. Okay, it's right here. I was like super worried. I was like, you just did not just pretend this character didn't exist. Okay, but in a bizarro world, taking down the most powerful and rich person in the world, Ben, you can really just say the most powerful. We all know the most powerful person in the world is almost always going to be somebody with incredible wealth. In the world is something nobody would consider. Well, no, it's that these people wouldn't consider it, even like the whole moral like condemnation of them is that they wouldn't challenge him because he's the richest and most powerful person in the world, even if it would cause harm to millions around the world. Weird, since he just made a $40 million movie trying to do just that. Weird, you made an art product that made money, yet critiquing people who don't make art products who also make money. Ben, shut the fuck up. You're so fucking stupid. Oh my god, I hate this one the most. Like, wait, what? So I'm not allowed to make a movie critiquing the ultra wealthy if my movie costs money. Got it. That makes sense. Ben Shapiro, wanted Hollywood producer, probably director. Like, jeez, man. Talk about a shallow... This is why the Daily Wire movies also suck, by the way. Because they have no interest in actually challenging any systems or any actually powerful institutions. It's all about reinforcing a normative structure, one that already is at the forefront and already the most, at least from a plurality standpoint, the largest of those in terms of culture, those stances. Which brings us to the final irony. Rian Johnson is being paid. Oh my God. No, we're not reading this. No. Ben. Leftism and critique of capital is not never make a dollar. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God. That almost gave me an... Wow, that was like worse than even I thought. I genuinely think that was worse than I thought. That was really fucking bad. Like, such shit takes. The fact that it ends with Ben basically doing the, oh, well, you made money on this, so, you made money on this, so how do you critique the ultra wealthy when you were paid money to make a movie by those same groups? Even though Rian Johnson wasn't paid by Elon Musk to make that movie, he was paid by Netflix to make a successful movie that would draw people to their platform. That's the goal. They honestly wouldn't care if he made Star Wars episode fucking 69. They would still pay him to produce that movie for them to put on their streaming service, because his job was to make something compelling for them. He was paid to bring in eyeballs, not any specific message. This is where people like Ben Shapiro doesn't quite understand how movie making happens. But, now we don't have to forgive him for that. But either way,
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
just dumb.
It's so dumb.
God, I love that. That is very satisfying. But, oh my God, I can't believe that. Okay. That's it. I'm gonna have to, put my eyes underwater. I'm fucking idiot. How the fuck do you call yourself somebody who, Anyway. Okay. I mean, so I hate bad media takes, especially movie takes. Should we? Let's see. Most insane? Nope, I don't care. Man, I don't want to spend all my time reacting to Ben on Thursday, but sometimes, man, sometimes, like, I'm looking at his channel right now, and I can't help but be like, ooh, man, this is such a minefield. This is just such a, not a minefield, this is such a gold mine. Is this racist? It's probably not that great of a movie. Will I agree with Ben Shapiro in that Avatar sucks? Okay, that's it. Okay. That's it. Okay. Oh, okay. That's the end of the show. I thank any of you for joining in this inaugural episode of 2023. If you enjoyed anything you saw, I encourage you to hit that follow button over here. And if you're interested in seeing any other content from the likes of me, there's a YouTube channel that's also linked down below the video or the stream, I'm assuming. And you can do that. It'll send you to my YouTube channel, and where I have a bunch of clips and a little bit shorter form content to a degree, along with any of my previous VODs. Yeah. What's up, Skeptic? Hit me with a quick question. It better be quick. But yeah, if let's see, what's your favorite anime to watch? That's a really, Skeptic Wolf, that's a great question. That's a great question because I just recently updated the pre-stream with some fun Toonami clips from back when I was a young lad. I know we have a decent age gap, so I don't know if you know what Toonami is. I'm hoping I'm not that old. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be Tenchi Muyo. That would probably be my go-to overall. Evangelion. You might enjoy the post stream then for the brief period it's up. It's a anime from the 90s. You should look it up. It's pretty fun. I really liked it. I grew up watching it just because one of the characters basically has a lightsaber, and that was enough for my grandmother to buy it for me. Even though it's not really a show that's necessarily appropriate for children, but it was fine. I ended up finishing it and finally like refinding it when I was in college, and man. It was quite a joy. But anyway. I have not. Anyway, like I said, if you enjoyed any of this, if you want to see any more content, it's going to be down over at the YouTube channel. I also have a Twitter account that I do need to get better at that, but maybe if you like follow me on Twitter, then maybe that'll motivate me to tweet a little bit more. I tweeted in the middle of this stream to tell Ben how excited I was to hear his shitty Glass Onion take. But either way, 2023, it's a new year, and this is gonna be the year where I get a little bit better at some of this stuff. But yeah, either way, I thank you for watching and sticking around. Thursday, I don't quite know what we're going over. I'm sure we'll talk about the House Speaker vote that's going to be coming up. Yeah, otherwise, we'll see what we end up talking about on Thursday, 7 o'clock, every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday on here. Again, for anybody who might be coming in late. Either way, you all have a good night. You've all been a great audience. It's been 2023. This has been the first show, and I'll see you all Thursday. And I'm sure I'll see Skeptic Wolf as well. Goodbye.